Okay, now we're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Titan Esports, week number 2 of the TCL. We are here with a very fun matchup today. We got Battle Rift Assassins versus Malevolent Requiem. I'm Wrapped Hair, joined as always by the ever lovely Freedom Potatoes. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to get into these games. This is gonna be an interesting one as usual. We've got two teams that are relatively new to me. These I think they've played in this league before, at least some of these players. But I haven't had the chance to cast them before. So it's gonna be novelty for me.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't heard a lot of them before. I think I've heard of Fortune, but that's about it. And even some of these players go by different names. So Pilla Morales is actually Thorn. So we'll be referring to him as Thorn on this broadcast, both for our own sanity and trying to pronounce that name, and because that's what they prefer to go by. But I am excited to see them both play. You know, it is always fun to watch new teams, new players coming up. We might get a chance. We never know. These players could be in the LCS one day. We could be getting our first look at new talent. So always exciting to see them. And yeah, this is going to be. I think this will be an exciting series. Hopefully, we don't have any of the trouble we've had the last couple days going on.
Yeah, hopefully not. But these teams do seem, I think, pretty evenly matched in skill. Although, shouting our Prophet of Tears as always with the content piece, actually predicting a 2-0 in favor of Battle Rift Assassins, which was not what I predicted when I looked at just at to document the spreadsheet. You know, if you look at the ranks on paper, I thought Malevolent leans a little bit higher in rank, but solo tier rank does not mean everything. It's the coordination on the Rift that's going to show who's truly the better team today.
Yeah, and that's really what we're looking into. And it starts that coordination with the draft. So we're going to get underway with that in just a moment. And we're going to see what these two teams have in store for us in our first game of the day, this best of 3. And both these teams at 1-0 currently in the standings. So new teams, new challenges, but still succeeding already, as we're seeing jungle picks going to be the first to come off the board.
Yeah, I think both of these teams look to have fairly strong junglers. I think Battle Rift Assassins in particular had a big performance on the Diana in one of their games. I think Diana's going to be a highly contested pick. I think both mid laners play some Diana, and Iplock also plays Diana. So we got 3 people contesting that pick. Few other picks I'd expect to see are like Sivir, Jinx, Ashe, some of those staple ADCs. Both bot laners play those. And then Gnar is a pick that both top laners play at least a little bit. We got to see that from Eternity last week. And a little bit of overlap in the support pools as well. So yeah, but most of the bans going over to the jungle in this first phase. A little bit of mid, a little bit of bot lane. It's going to be the Corki picked up as the B1 blind. Not something that I see every day, but it is a pretty safe pick. Does a lot of damage once it gets to scale. So makes a lot of sense. It doesn't have the most range, so I do think there are some matchups that are not necessarily optimal for it, but we'll get to see what the response is, because it is a flex pick, and it seems like Battle Rift Assassins think it's going mid.
Yeah, and that's going to be the Victor and the Jinx to go with it. Jinx, one of the best AD carries right now, and I think Victor's a very solid mid pick, regardless of his real power. Just he brings so much to the table. And I'm actually curious to see, there we go. I was wondering if we would see anything coming up from the patch notes. So for anyone who hasn't gotten on today, we did have a patch today, and one of those champions that got a buff was Pantheon. He got an enhancement to his monster modification damage on his Shield Vault and Comet Spear. So that's looking to probably be Pantheon jungle.
He got buffed?
Yeah, he got buffed.
I feel like he's been everywhere in pro play already, just because point and click CC has been so, it's always such an in-demand part of a champion's kit that, I'm surprised to see that he was buffed in spite of that. But pairing with the Pantheon, we've got the LeBlanc on the side of MVE, and then we've got a Rel picked up by BRA over on the red side. I think that mid jungle duo for MVE is going to be super strong. Point and click CC to set up the LeBlanc route is lethal at any stage of the game. And the Rel is going to give some much needed engage over to the side of Battle Rift Assassins. Their first 2 picks were kind of lacking in the CC department. So yeah, they need something to set that up.
Your LeBlanc comment reminds me of a play I had the other day. LeBlanc jumped me and I W'd her entire ability pool. So nothing hit, and then she just died under turret. So hopefully it works, but I don't see ML here, so I think they should be fine. As the Diana is coming through, you were talking about that pick, so good to see that. A strong, solid jungle pick. I'm not sure how it does into Pantheon, though. I'll be honest, I haven't seen a lot of Pantheon Diana matching up together, so that'll be interesting to see. I feel like Pantheon probably has the advantage. The Ornn coming through as well for the top side, so rounding out this comp, we already know that this is Corki in the 80 role, and it's going to be paired with a Nautilus. Okay, so I'm liking this. I'm liking this very front to back, but also very dive-heavy comp coming out of MVE.
Yeah, MVE definitely looking to go in a little bit more than they want to kite back. They can play it both ways a little bit, but they've got an 80 carry with mobility that can follow up on that, and it's a Yorick to round things out for the red side draft, opening up a lot of split push potential for them. And he can kind of just beat on these tankier champions that don't have a ton of damage like the Ornn. So going to be an interesting pick. If the Yorick can be unlocked for red team and do his thing, I think it's going to be somewhat challenging for MVE to deal with. But they have a lot of pick potential. Pantheon and LeBlanc can show up over the wall, ulting in, and help clean you up. So it's going to be smart tempo is going to be the name of the game for Battle Rift Assassins, I think. Because if Yorick's up too far and his team's not getting anything on the other side of the map, might not be he could open himself up to some of those ganks.
Yeah, and I think the also advantage of that is it's keeping it can keep Ornn, it can keep LeBlanc or even Corki in that side lane to deal with him with the split push, especially later in the game, and that's just keeping them out of the fight and being part of MVE's entire strategy, which is everyone goes in, they hit an Ornn horn or they hit a nice depth charge, and they just all dive in on that target and nuke them. So having Yorick up there and keeping one of those diving tools off of the rest of Brawl could be very beneficial. And they've got some good peeling tools. You've got the Rel, she's great at keeping people off of you. You've got Victor, who's got the W, you've got the Chompers. There's quite a bit of tools here. My one concern for Brawl, I feel, is the Diana pick. While it is good to have an assassin, I feel like just given the setup MVE has, a little bit dicier of a pick. You go in, and while there's a lot of dive and engage on MVE, there's also a lot of ways to use that to turn it around. You can just stun them up with Nautilus, stun them up with Ornn, even use the chains from LeBlanc. There's a lot of mobility on this team. So I'm just trying to figure out where Diana really fits into this. Is her goal just to keep Corki and LeBlanc? No, she can't kill them because they're just going to dash away. Keep them out of the fight, just push them back? Or is she really going to try to find those picks? Is she going to try to assassinate Pantheon? Ugh.
We might see more of maybe a Bruiser Diana build is what I'd expect here. Something like a Rocket Belt and Rift Maker, something that gives a little bit more HP, so she's not getting blown up the instant she goes in. Because if Diana goes in without the rest of her team, and she gets hooked by Nautilus, stunned by Pantheon, she is just going to be a free kill. So she also has to play very smart on the engage timing. Maybe look to follow up on the Rel engage or use her ultimate to set up a Rel engage. But yeah, I think it's a harder champion to pilot in this draft. And if the divers for BRA are going in and abandoning their carries, I think Jinx and Victor are going to have a bad time. They need to be very on top of their positioning.
I think so too. So we'll have to see how they do as we get underway with our first game of the day. And we're hearing it's still loading in a bit. So we're going to do really quick predictions. Who do you think's taking this first game?
I mean, it's tough to say because I think MVE has like the easier composition to execute on. They have a very clear identity of you have your primary engage coming through from like the Nautilus or maybe the Pantheon, finding a stun on someone, follow-up burst from LeBlanc, and the Ornn to you know, do the AoE engage, and Corki as kind of the backup DPS. For the side of BRA, I think it's a little harder for them to play some of these fights, but they have really strong late game carries in Jinx and Victor. If those champions get to late game, they are going to be dishing out tons of damage. They just need to be kept alive by the remaining members of their team. If they get dove on, then it's kind of lights out for them. And I think the Yorick is kind of the wild card of this game. If he gets ahead and is able to split push and pull those divers from MVE's side to deal with him instead of focusing his carries, I think that's going to be huge for them. But overall, I'd give it a little bit to the MVE's draft here, but it remains to be seen. As always, execution going to be the name of the game.
Yeah, execution will be the name of it. We're almost in. You know, also wanted to bring up, you know, we were talking about in the draft, the new patch today. You know, Pantheon was one of the champions that got buffed. We will see. Interesting to see if we might see anything else as this series develops too. Anivia is on the was on the buff table. Veigar, Malphite, and Katarina. So those are some picks. Some of them we have seen. We have seen Anivia. We have seen the Malphite. What, you know, Veigar even, you could see more of them. And there also were, of course, some adjustments to Azir, Camille, Fizz, Graves, and Wukong, and nerfs to Briar, Orianna, Volibear, and Warwick. I don't think a lot of those nerf ones outside of maybe the Voli really impact the league as much. We don't, maybe the Ori too. We don't see as much Briar and Warwick here. But yeah, I mean, those are some changes, especially, you know, with Worlds coming up. But also for our teams, you know, how are they going to be impacted by these?
I agree with your assessment that, like, yeah, the Ori and the Volley are two picks that these teams do play. We saw Ezekiel has picked the Volibear before, and Frozen Turd picked Orianna last week. So yeah, the changes to those champions could come into play a little bit here. But yeah, overall, I think some of those picks are a little more niche. And yeah, I mean, the Pantheon buffs I think are going to be big. But, you know, it's Fearless Draft after this game. You know, if he pops off, they're not going to have to worry about him anymore. And we're now getting onto the Rift for game number 1.
Yeah, game number 1 underway, and already the team's getting ready to do a little Fnatic death push here on the side of Bra. But will it work out? Six Dogs is hanging out. It does get spotted. And I don't think anybody is really gonna get picked up there. So they get the vision, they back up, and honestly, I think we'll see a lot more safe play overall from Bra, because they are a scaling team. Definitely with the Victor and the Jinx, they're scaling.
Yeah, they just want to make it to late game. They just want to have, you know, front line for their carries. I'll be interested to see how the Victor builds this game, because MVE's team comp isn't super long range, but they have a ton of dive, which means we might be seeing a Rod of Ages build come out. Rod of Ages plus Leandries, adding a lot of health to him as well, you know, making him harder to blow up and still dealing considerable amounts of damage. So that's, yeah, something I'd potentially expect to see out of the mid laner. But you know, if he might just go full damage too. You never know.
Yeah, it could be the full damage. Could be something more. But as we're seeing this starting up, yeah, just pretty calm. A little bit of poke down in the bottom side here as we see this trade in the bot lane. Corki bot. Always happy to see him down in the bot lane. That's where I learned Corki originally, back when when AD carry Corki was the way you played Corki, the only way you played Corki. And now on the top side too, Thorn and Eternimus just going at it. And ooh, a little bit of heavier engage down on the bottom side, forcing the dash out of the Corki. But overall, still a chill situation.
Lots of heavy trading in the mid and top lanes, though. These health bars dropping a little bit low in the early phases of the game as they're just whacking at each other. Yorick using those ghouls to poke out Thorn. It's, you know, I think this is a matchup that at most phases of the game is going to be pretty challenging for the Ornn. Just Yorick wins these sustained trades really hard because of the healing he has in his kit and his ability to summon up those ghouls. So yeah, Ornn really needs to use the CC to set up a gank from his jungler, I think, if he wants to find the upper hand in this matchup.
Now we're 3 minutes in. Already seeing Thorn push back under the turret. The power of Yorick in the solo lane. Ornn is great, but Yorick is the king of the split. This man is difficult to deal with on your own, and now in the mid lane, you're in Frozen Turd trading it out. I think you're got the advantage of that, or YRW.
Yep, and we also
wait,
saw
hang on, you might actually see a kill up here. Nope, never mind. Sorry.
close, but no cigar. Yeah, the bot lane for the side of BRA took an early reset there actually to get the Cole for the Jinx. And they don't lose too much for it. They were like even in CS on the reset. Oh, but there's a fight in the jungle.
Yeah, they might lose their jungler. The flash forward from 6 Dogs to get the stun, but doesn't find much else. Now it's getting caught up, getting super low, and will be the first blood going over to Fortune. But can they get anything else, or will someone die? Frozen Turd will get taken out by YRW. And now Ezekiel trying to buy some space. They go on in. IP Lock gonna find that kill. Red versus Blue, though, going to be the next to die as Lock also falls. And now Fortune trying to duel verse 2 is kind of losing out on this trade. That true damage from Corki is very powerful. We also did see the feat of Warfare go the way of MVE. So 3-2 in that extended fight.
Wow, and I thought that BRA was going to have the upper hand there. They got the first pick onto the Nautilus, and with a Jinx getting excited, that usually means a one team fight, a one skirmish. But a lot of the Jinx's damage went into Pantheon's shield there, and which means that window of opportunity where she is excited has that ramped up attack speed was a little wasted, and then the re-engage from the side of MVE is just stronger. I think their champions are better in the skirmish early on. Frozen Turd, once he blows his cooldowns, he's kind of just a sitting duck. And yeah, it's the feat of Warfare claimed very early on by Malevolent.
Yeah, and I think also a lot of that too, you saw there, Frozen Turd getting hit. I think he got hit by the leash from YRW. And, he goes over the wall, gets stunned, and then just gets immediately dived on. So you're already out the mid laner in the fight, and if you're trading mid for support, like, it just puts you in a little bit more disadvantageous position. But still, they got the kills onto Jinx, they got the kills onto Diana. On the other side, 2 onto LeBlanc, 1 onto Corki. So kills going where they need to. No one accidentally took a kill. But speaking of kills, Turnumi might be able to get one up here. Nope, it looks like Thorn's just gonna back on off, and Yorick's still looking so strong up here in this top side, getting a little bit of a farm lead for himself.
Yeah, he could have frozen on the Ornn there, and I think really kept him out of the game. But looks like he wants to go for the push instead. Oh,
yeah, the Ram getting downloaded. Ooh, a beautiful flash from Eternumi. I'm always trying to figure out how to pronounce it. We weren't given a pronunciation guide for this name, so I'm like,
Eternumi, Eternuma, I don't know.
Oh, speaking of plays, hooks. Fortune getting hooked up there, getting out. 6 Dogs gonna go down again. Lock's gonna grab that kill, but will fall. And now the shields are up, but this time Fortune knows not to go right for it, kind of diverting attention, and now going for it. Frozen Turd gonna be the first one to fall. Malavek's gonna be forced to flash, and 2 for 1 in favor of Bra this time. They get the fight correct.
They're up a slight 600 gold lead after that. And yeah, Victor being level 6 there while LeBlanc is the level 5 is huge. Like that level 6 power spike for LeBlanc is massive because, it's an extra ability that just deals so much damage. You can get more mobility, more CC, or just raw damage in your kit. And now YRW was able to nicely micro the clone to block a zap from Jinx. I think if that zap had hit, Malevex would have also gone down, and that would be disastrous for Malevolent Requiem. But as it is, still a favorable trade for the side of Battle Rift Assassins.
Yeah, that's what you're looking for. Kills going the way of Victor and Diana, so more kills on to more people that want it. You want it on your carries, you want it on your assassin. LeBlanc being up 2-0, it's gonna be rough for Jinx, but inversely, Diana being up kills is also a very scary thing to see. Diana is a very strong assassin when she gets some items. So we're gonna look at how that fight broke out here around the Dragon Pit.
Yeah, so it looks like it started up by BRA first. Blue team feeling very confident to walk in, but the level 6 power spike in mid is huge. And they just turn on this Nautilus and nuke him down. Second death of the game there, The Nautilus not very tanky yet, and then even though Diana gets jumped on from the other side, it's also just yeah, Jinx getting excited. Victor having the ultimate means there's a lot of AoE damage coming down, and that stun from Rel is so nice to lock up the Corki. make it hard for, make it hard for the Pantheon to get out. And yeah, that was very close to being yet another kill over to the Jinx, I think.
Yeah, I think that was very. If that flash hadn't gone through, that was going to be another kill. And he did get out. Dragon started up yet again from the side of BRA. On the other side, they are going for the grubs for MVE. Good trade of neutral objectives. And we've also seen Thorn get rotated down to the bottom side, so they are going to do the lane swap. It is past the point where the lane swap penalty is gone. So, yeah, trying to get, isn't quite working out on the bottom side. They were up in farm, but they're still losing the fights. So, let's take them top side. Just try to see if we can accelerate this core.
Pantheon ult coming in on top.
Yeah, here it comes up top side looking for Numi, but not going to find him there. So they know that the jungler's up on the top side. He's used his ult. Could be a sign of maybe a potential for something in the mid lane. YRW getting stunned up. The ult coming out from the Victor. It's not going to get the kill, but it should force YRW out of the lane, or at least force him back. Pantheon is down here. Turd's got to be careful. Getting jumped on by RW, gonna get stunned up. The Nautilus is here too. He's got to keep running. If he even gets within range, oh, there's the depth charge. It's gonna land onto Turd, but the hook's gonna land on the Lock, who sneaks on in, and now they're looking for the fight. The Ornhorn gonna come on through, and Lock will fall, but they will trade it for the support. They will lose their mid laner in the process, and now Red v Blue trying to run away. The Jinx rocket from downtown still almost got a hit onto onto the Corki, but it will be a 2-for-1 trade in favor of MVE overall.
And Frozen Turd overplaying his hand a little bit there, I think. Gets a really nice chunk onto LeBlanc, but then goes for more when the Pantheon and Nautilus are roaming down from top. And, gets caught, and it just forces a really chaotic fight in the blue side jungle there, which has swung things back nicely for MVE. Still dead even in gold, dead even in the objectives department. So it's really anyone's game at this point, but much needed kills going the way of MVE to keep their carries strong, set them up for, or I guess those kills didn't actually really go to the carries, but anyone on their team getting kills, I think they'll be happy about, because they need to just beef. They need to be able to make these picks happen, and Sick Dogs is in some danger now.
Yeah, but he's gonna get on out of there and should be just fine. And gold lead currently in the favor of Bra, but only by about 200 gold, 300 gold or so. So it's not that big of a difference between them currently. So this game's still very close. The Dragons in favor of Bra. The Grubs haven't gone to MVE. Keeps them in the running for that feat. Six Dogs now up on the top side, roaming out, really looking for play potential on this Nautilus.
Yeah, but it's hard to make a play on the Yorick. He's pretty tanky right now, although he does need to take it back at some point. He's got to have a lot of gold in the pocket that's unspent, because he's just sitting on the Phage, and that's those starting items there. So I think this Yorick is going to start looking pretty scary once this reset comes through.
Yeah, now Red vs. Blue looking for YRW. Gonna get the stun, but no follow-up there from Turd, and they're just trying to pressure. They're just trying to keep the pressure on LeBlanc. So much of her power is the ability to roam, look for plays as this high mobility assassin. But hang on, Red versus Blue. Oh nope, Ezekiel's not going to go for him. But yeah, if you keep the pressure on and she can't leave lane, that nullifies so much of her potential there. And you're seeing Numi now. Still hasn't backed yet. It's just trying to farm as much gold as possible from these plays, trying to really maximize that lane time value. And it's going well down to the very last plate with still 2 minutes to go until they drop. Might actually be able to get this turret before they all drop. It's not something we see that often, but
yeah, if he can get a good reset off, I think he can threaten that turret. With the item disparity between him and this Ornn, I don't know if he can threaten, but he's up almost 50 CS, which that's a massive lead. But yeah, now the Yorick is going to look for the reset here, and probably come to TP back in and look to try to knock that turret down, or maybe make a play somewhere else on the map. I think the map movements around from BRA have been really, really effective for them. This Rel has, kind of, as we saw, kind of been able to neutralize the LeBlanc, keep her in lane, and while Six Dogs made his way up top alongside Malevex, they weren't really able to bully the Yorick. Eternamite still playing with a lot of confidence, and And meanwhile, the Ornn facing up against the Jinx, getting bullied off a lot more CS than the Auric was.
Yeah, like that lane swap did not work out for the Ornn. Yorick managed to farm just fine against Corki, but Thorn just really got stuck down there and couldn't get anything. And now he was already a little behind. Now he's just so much further behind. And yeah, he's got the Bramble. Yeah, he's got the Bammies, but there's a full cleaver there on the side of Numi on that Yorick. Yeah, that Bramble is really not gonna do very much.
Ooh, Block
Loki
might be in danger here.
Yeah, Lock.
Oh,
Oh, no, actually it's not Lock. It's Fortune is the one who gets caught. Drops the barrier, not going to have time to flash. Does get ignited, and 6 dogs will pick that up. Not who you wanted on, but, you know, especially with that neutral coming up right now.
Yeah, the timing could not be better for Malevolent Requiem. They get the pick onto the key member of the enemy team, the Jinx, right as the Dragon's coming up, and that is going to be objective number 2 of the game, claimed by them, as it's not yet answered by the turret and top side. I'd have to think, you know, sooner or later the Yorick gets this, but it hasn't happened yet. So that is the game, you know, again, can swing a little bit more in the way that MVE wants it to go.
Alrighty, now on the side we are seeing
You're still you're lagging out a little bit, crap here, but there goes the turret and maybe a kill.
She'll kill. Numi gonna pick that up, and I'm gonna really quick fix this audio.
Okay, you're actually sounding better, I think.
Oh.
But yeah, big solo kill. Maiden doing lots of work. You know, Diana was coming up for the backup, even if that didn't go Yorick's way. But this is exactly how BRA wanted the top match to go. Yorick's up 50 CS, has the solo kill, got an entire first turret, except for that last Palladian, I think. But it's gonna be this Rift Herald that potentially decides who gets the feats of strength this game. Because if MVE gets it, they're gonna, you know, finish off that feat of monster slaying, and they'll have themselves some shiny, fancy new boots. But if BRA can stall that out, deny the Herald, and, you know, take another objective, it'll be going over to them instead.
So very close to getting those feats. But enhanced boots, powerful, not a game winner, but can be a game changer. And now the blue going in, 6 dogs gonna land the hook onto the Rel. And they get out. They're jumping onto Redverse. Well, they really want to pick this kill up, but Locke gets in with a huge ultimate. They're dueling it back. MVE, though, so many low health members. 6 dog will get taken out. Locke will finish that kill. LeBlanc will grab the Rel. So support for support right now. And it's just Locke versus Frozen Turd. The Pantheon goes a little too far, though. Thorn will manage to pick that kill up. And Turd, does dodge the stun. Can he get out of this? Getting very low, but doing well so far. And Ezekiel, too far with the ult, is basically doomed for this world. Oh, but he picks up Frozen Turd and gets the 1 kill. Probably going to grab Fortune here, too. And Malevex is going to pick that up. So 4 for 1 goes the favor of MVE. But on the bottom side, Numi getting pressure on this turret. YRW coming on in to stop him being able to get it, but he did push pretty far. I think, did he pick up that outer turret down there? Or was that already
He did pick up the outer turret, but I don't know if it's worth the 4 kills that they lose here. And that, I mean, that was a massive outplay at the end of that from the Corki Pantheon duo as we get a look back at this fight. Yeah, it's the engage on a Rel that starts it up. Some nice flame chompers from Jinx to try to zone out the LeBlanc, and then this looks really good for the side of BRA here. But I think they're just not quite able to finish these kills off. That Aegis shield, or that Locket shield being absolutely massive. You know, 6 dogs and YRW both living on a sliver of health. The LeBlanc gets a big pick at the back end of the fight, and so a lot of the these low health bars from the side of MVE aren't punished. You see that nice little sidestep from Frozen Turd. He's not able to finish anything off. Fortune is just stuck dueling this Pantheon, and there's vision on the Victor, which means he gets sniped down by the Comet Spear there, and then they just turn on Jinx, who is actually, Fortune is 2 levels down on this Corki. I'm not exactly sure how that happened. Maybe that was from the lane swap earlier, but Yeah, underrated amount of stats in favor of the MVE AD carry there, helping them win that fight.
And it looks so good for Brawl, like you said, but when the Jinx rocket hits YRW at the start, I don't know if you noticed this, but it splits the clone, and Fortune just chases after the clone. Everyone just walks by thinking, oh, hang on, actually, YRW, speaking of which, might be in a little trouble here. It actually might be Numi the one in a bit of trouble, as Thorn missing the knock-up, so should be fine to get the ult out of the Thorn. But yeah, back in that fight, you see what they think is a YRW clone walk past them, but it's the one that's ignited, so you should know that's the correct LeBlanc. That is not the clone, and then it kills Red versus V Blue, and then Fortune, who's been doing all that damage, he just walks away to chase after the LeBlanc, and it left the rest of the team in such a position. And speaking of being left in a position, Thorn is left in a pretty bad one right here. Numi trying to pick up a kill and will manage to grab it. The Pantheon ult comes in, the teleport also from the LeBlanc. Numi forced to flash to get on out of there, but so many resources committed just to try to kill this Yorick, and it goes nowhere for the side of MVE. They waste so much on that.
Yeah, that W, the Dark Procession from Yorick, getting so much value. Oh, wait, he's on Vision.
Yeah, I was maybe wrong. Maybe he's not going to live through this. Numi's still
Malevolent
dodging.
goes in.
Yeah, he does go in, and he's going to have to try to dodge Red v Blue. Going to get a big ult right there. Six Dog going to fall, and now locked onto Ezekiel. He's trying to get on out of there. Drops the shield, jumps to the Raptors to try to avoid any slows, and will get on out, but BRA continuing to find plays. You know, despite being down, they are still playing aggressively. They are looking for these opportunities. And now they've swung it. They're up in gold. They're going to get this dragon, and that will put them 1 point away from that feat.
Yeah, because the Herald was actually never taken after the previous fight. I thought while we were in replay that it was going to go down to the Pantheon and Corki, who were still alive and hitting it, but it seems like they backed off, and yeah, now it's just the Otacon or the Herald that'll determine who gets those boots. Like you said, it's not the end of the game, but especially when you have like those Ornn upgraded items, the bonus stats start to add up when you have those ornaments and the enhanced boots. It just gives you a little bit of bonus in any fight they're taking later on. So I think MVE is really going to want those, but ERA also going to be quite happy if they can pick them up.
Yeah, and honestly, they might just wait till the dragon. It doesn't seem like either team is putting a lot of priority on this Herald or Atacon. Yeah, granted, the Atacon just spawned, but the Herald hasn't gone for it yet. I'm actually surprised. I thought Numi might go for it, just get it to enhance that split push. You think the Maiden's bad now at the Yorick. Imagine when he's got the Herald to help charge down the turrets. Ezekiel on this blue side, looking for a flank opportunity onto Yorick. Maybe he's going to take the Gromp. May go from there. I don't know if Numi knows he is around. He might have been spotted on that ward down there. But this is the time for Atacon to go up. So they do know. They are starting up Atacon on the side of BRA. 4 members are down here. Pantheon roaming on down. He does have the ultimate. He could try to drop on in with the Grand Starfall if he wants, but no commitment yet. 4 members have come down. Atacon's been moved over there. There's the Grand Starfall going on in, looking for the stun onto Red v Blue. But is it going to be enough? The shield will not lock. Will manage to pick that kill up, and now he will fall. Jungle for jungle. This Atacon could go either way, but goes in Turd and Fortune still firing, still pretty healthy. Not much mana on the side of Turd, and Red v Blue is also a little low too, so they are going to back off. And Numi, there we go, picking up the Rift Herald. Well, now he's picked up the Herald, but he did get it.
Yeah.
And so that split pushing Yorick is about to become a whole lot worse to deal with.
And I think, that overall favors Battle Rift Assassins. They fight the 4v4, they get the 1-for-1 in the jungle, and they're just letting their strongest member do his thing on the other side of the map, soloing the objective while the rest of MVE is kind of baited down to the Otacon. And yeah, I don't think at this point in the game there's really anyone that can stop Yorick from doing his thing. They're gonna need multiple members, but if that's happening, then you're giving up pressure on the other side of the map. So the more they can, the more Eternami, I don't know how you say it, but how Eternami, okay, is on this top lane, I think that's going to make it really hard for MVE to play the game because they want to, they don't want to give up this Otacon, but the longer they dance around this, the more the Yorick is going to get done up there, and eventually I think they're going to feel forced to respond.
Yeah, at some point they've got to do something about him. He's just gonna keep pressuring this. If they step away at this next dragon, if Thorn walks down there to help them get that dragon, they're gonna lose an inhibitor. The Yorick's just gonna push so fast, but could also just lose it here in the mid lane. YRW forced to dash, and this inner turret is kind of getting burned down. Ezekiel is here, so they are pushing him back. Now Thorn trying to dodge something up here. Six Dogs looking for a hook. He's gonna land it onto Fortune, but he's so far from the rest of his team. They finally have gotten in now. IP locking a big ultimate, but they will trade it for the Nautilus. The team picks up a double for Malevolent, and here comes Frozen Turd. The big W, the ultimate rolling through that arcane storm, tearing them up. Fortune picks up one to go on a killing spree. Malevex trying to run, drops the barrier, but the shields are popping, and Frozen Turd's gonna pick that kill up. Ezekiel looking to dive on in the shield, buying him so much space, but Fortune wants to keep hunting. The turret, though, its damage will force him back. There is no rocket yet, so Ezekiel should be fine to just back up on here, but the fight goes the way of BRA. The inner turret falls. The Herald dropped on the top side. They just want to keep this pressure up. They want more turrets to break, and wait, oh, it hit the Orn, not little Orn, I don't even know what to call that, pillar? Hit the pillar. Oh, it hit the pillar. He does get the turret, but not quite the charge he was hoping for. And now, ooh, forcing the flash out of Thorn, though, catching him after the dash with that Dark Procession. Charge gonna come on through here, and that inhibitor turret will fall. No one has come on over yet to deal with Numi. It's just Thorn, and he is losing this so painfully, and he will fall. Atacon is where the rest of the team is. They're looking for red versus blue. The Grand Starfall also coming on in as he tries to get onto Fortune. IP Lock gonna pull him back, though. And now the hook gonna go wide. It's gonna be BRA picking up the Atacon as the fight continues. Six Dogs goes down, but so does red v blue. Ezekiel will fall. Now Malevex will fall. A double kill going the way of Frozen Turd. YRW trying to run, trying to use that clone bait, but it won't work this time. And Fortune's gonna pick that kill up. And now 5 members down, the ace for BRA. Numi already on the Nexus turrets. I think this is just gonna awkwardly be game.
Yeah, that's a 4v4 with, with the Orn dead. I mean, I think for MVE, they just had to give up the objective, unfortunately, because Yorick has taken 3 turrets and an inhibitor and is now going to take the Nexus. That was kind of an unexpectedly quick end to our first game of the series here.
That's the power of the Yorick split. We said, hey, he's going to get an inhibitor if Orn teleport there. Instead, Orn just kind of stays around and dies, and they lose him, they lose everything, they lose the team fight, and they lose this first game as the Battle Rift Assassins go up 1-0 in the series. Off of, honestly, just solid play across the board, but just absolutely fantastic out of Numi, playing that split push to perfection on the Yorick.
It's really the power of these picks that counter the meta top laners in the Conqueror League, and I think in organized play in general. Orn is such a staple pick, and if you have something in your pool that really counters him, because people love to blind that champion, but if you can just make his life hell, keep him trapped in his lane, he can never join his team to use the power of that AoE ultimate. It's really good. The Yoricks, the Mordekaisers, anything like that can just chunk out this champion, deal good sustained damage, and maintain relevance in the split push is a huge difference maker to have in your pool. And in this game, it's BRA using that counter pick to perfection. I think the team played great across the board, but it's the Yorick that made things unplayable for the side of MVE. I think the turret damage kind of speaks for itself there.
Look at this, a 24 damage from Orn.
I mean, it's more than the rest of the team, and he's the one who was countered, so
That's actually wild that their total turret damage across the entire game was 24. Like, they didn't touch they just didn't touch a turret. They didn't even get to push into one. That's insane.
And I think for the rest of the side of MVE, I really would have wanted to see more out of the pick comp's early strength. They have the Pantheon LeBlanc combo, but I didn't feel like we got to see it come online the way we wanted it to. I mean, LeBlanc picked up 2 early kills, but was still struggling to find influence out of lane due to good map movements from the side of BRA. Making it hard for MVE to contest around objectives, to go through river. They're always on vision. They're always outnumbered wherever they go. And so even though they have this strong pick comp, it's really hard for them to take and engage.
Yeah, and now they find themselves down at match point. Bra looking just on point. This like on it for a new team. It's exciting to see. They're so coordinated. And I thought they played it well. That's not to say that MVE played badly. They did great. I felt like they were playing it well. It's just that BRA just really kind of took it a step above and beyond, especially on that split push. They knew they could keep Ornn from ever joining the team. If that last fight, if Ornn had been there, it could have been a whole different story. Gets to drop the Call of the Forge God, use the Bellows Breath, even the Searing Charge into the Volcanic Rupture could have been, could have really gotten them that kill onto Fortune, could have changed the whole thing around there. But you can't leave Yorick behind, and who else can deal with him at this point?
Yeah, no one can. And I mean, that's just the risk you take when you draft kind of a pick comp. A lot of those champions are really burst oriented. And if you're not nuking the Yorick's health bar out immediately, I mean, we saw he was on the side lane. LeBlanc usually is great into mobile champions, but if she tries to W in, he just bonks her with the shovel and he goes on his merry way because she has no wave clear. The Ornn has decent wave clear, but can't 1v1. And really, no one on the team for MVE has an answer to such a strong split pusher. So that's got to be my MVP. I mean, it was close to a Flame Horizon, I think, in this game. It's just knowing when to pick the Yorick and really making it work for the team.
Yeah, I think even more impressively was despite the lane swap. Again, we saw only 24 damage from MVE on turrets. That means despite the lane swap, Yorick did not allow any pressure. He actually was winning in the lane swap against the Corki. So, yeah, I got to give that my MVP for this game as well. But we'll have to see how they develop going into game number 2. So we're going to go break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with game number 2. Yeah. Yeah, if we have some time. Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to game number 2, TCL Week 2, BRA versus MVE. We saw BRE in game number 1 with a very abrupt ending to it off the back of an impeccable Yorick split push game. But now we're on our way into game number 2, and what are you hoping to see out of this one, Potatoes?
I mean, hoping to see switch ups in draft, I guess, which are going to be forced because of Fearless. I mean, I think I'd like to see, maybe a more even top lane matchup. We can see how Thorn fights back when it's not a hard counter matchup like that. Is it going to be the same story of domination, or was it just the pick doing all the work? I think I'd like to see maybe a little bit tighter play from MVE. They had some good looks early in the game, but as things went on, slipped a little out of their control. They got outscaled. It was a tough time. So yeah, if they're playing something that kind of leans a little more towards that early and mid game, and maybe push the tempo a little harder, then look for plays a little more, or maybe they'll switch things up and they'll be on the better scaling side of things this time.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how they develop. That's one of those games that you just kind of write it off as a one and done. It happens. Sometimes the split pusher just gets out of control, and especially Yorick, you can be very effective. You could also be useless if you're not given the right circumstance. So it happens. But new game, new setup. Assume it's a best of one now for yourself. What are you bringing into the table as we get underway into the draft? While we are getting underway, it actually sounds like we're still getting a couple things sorted out. No, there it is. There we go. Draft coming on through here for game number 2.
Yeah, so if it's open, I'd be interested to see BRA pull out something like the Jarvan Orianna. I think they played that last week and got a very big win for themselves on it. It's just a really strong mid jungle 2v2. Once you hit level 6, you can pick pretty much anyone you want. It's a kind of a staple of competitive play. The Jarvan specifically, but also the pairing with the Orianna. Yeah, I think that's an option they've got for themselves. I don't think those champions were banned last game, but maybe they will be this time around, as we're seeing, once again, lots of jungle bans being thrown out. I think we tend to see the same for phase 1 bans a lot of time with Fearless Draft, because that's just the champions you don't want to play against. Okay, there's the Orianna ban. But it's just you just ban the enemy main so they don't get them, and usually not too much adaptation game to game. But yeah, the bans are all done. We've got a lot of mid bans from MVE this time around for the Orianna and the Galio, 2 really high impact champions in team fights. And it's going to be Malevolent on the Sivir here. This was another pick that I expected would be pretty contested. She just scales up to deal so much damage in team fights. A little bit short on range, so can get bullied in the early game. And it looks like for the side of BRA, they're actually going to grab the Smolder, Sivir's early game. While she can push in pretty effectively and get lane control, it's a little harder for her to find those kill angles because she's so mana hungry. And they're still going to grab that Jarvan as well. But I think, looks like BRA, once again, going to be trying to scale up into the late game. But this time, I feel like MVE also has some pretty solid scaling with that first pick.
I do too, and I think the jungle setup, well, I thought IP locked it very good on the Diana. Especially given how many people are diving him. I think the Jarvan will fit better. It's just it's more easy to enable your team. You don't have to worry as much about whether you're ahead or not. Like, Jarvan can have no items and still be useful. It's one of those champions that just works well. But into the Vi could be a challenge there. Vi also very good at locking down targets. So the Braum gonna come through.
Braum countering a lot of that engage that MVE has picked up. But I like the Vi Ahri mid jungle duo. That's another really strong combination, because the Vi goes in with her ultimate, goes in with the cease and desist, sets up the charm from Ahri, and usually that's just going to be a kill onto whoever you pick. But Braum nullifies a lot of that. Even if you have the Vi Ahri coming through, she's going to be getting stunned by the Braum passive. The E from Braum, that's going to be stopping the follow-up damage from Ahri, and it gets a lot harder to play those fights. So maybe something that MVE would have wanted to ban if they were going to go look for a combo like this in the first phase of draft.
Yeah, now More support bans coming through from Bra as well as a top ban. A lot of top bans from MVE. So it seems like they might have something they're looking for this top side. And ooh, Silas from Bra. Okay, I think that's very strong into the matchup we see. There's a lot of good ultimates already to steal.
Yeah, Ari ultimate gives him a ton of, mobility and access to the backline, or disengage if he needs to do it. The Renekton that was just picked up, I mean, it's just a good stat stick for him. Not getting the Fury, but still can make him a tankier target. Vi ultimate onto Sivir, even if she spell shields the ult, Silas still has another knock-up in his kit, a lot of damage coming through from those passive autos, and Nico ult. Seeing Silas and picking Nico, I think is a little crazy, because that is one of the best ones he could steal. If he's in the mix and he steals that, he can do his own AoE knock-up. But it's going to be an Malphite rounding out BRA's team composition.
So this is we're going to go on somebody and they're just going to explode and they're not going to get to play the game kind of comp from Bra here. A lot of good ultimates here. A lot of good engage potential. The Malphite, the Jarvan, the Braum, the Silas, who could steal Vialt even, or Sivir. You can make the engage even easier. Take Sivir. Now you're just charging at them and they're definitely not getting away from you then. So I'm going to give you a moment in just a moment to let me know who you think's won this draft, but I think clearly Bra is the one that won this one. VRA their comp just is so good. It has so many tools, and I feel like it's just easier to pilot.
It has a ton of engage tools. I agree, it's pretty easy to pilot, and they really have that Smolder as a late game insurance policy. They just need to make sure they're not abandoning him, because it's 4 melees plus Smolder. As long as they're creating a wall for the Dragon, he's going to be dealing a lot of damage as he gets online later in the game. But if he gets put behind early, that could be a weakness of this comp, because the Malphite and the Jarvan don't deal the most damage, and depending on how Silas builds or if he's getting caught early in the fights, he's also not the most reliable source of damage always. So yeah, I that's like the one thing to look out for the side of BRA. For MVE, I think it's a similar story to last game. They need to get ahead early. If the Vi Ahri are making it impossible for BRA to approach Dragon fights, approach the Rift Herald around that time in the game, I think that their comp has a lot of strength. Nico can find those sneaky engages, and Sivir can absolutely melt people in the team fight. So if MVE gets ahead, I think their comp is like reasonably easy to play, but from behind, I think it's going to be very difficult, because a lot of these Vials are just going to be a one-way trip to the fountain.
I agree. And we'll have to see if they can find a way to pull this out as we move on in to game number 2's in game. MVE, BRA looking to just make this a clean 2-0, and MVE looking to begin their claw back in this best of 3 series. Slow start to this game. I don't think no one's positioned for really anything aggressive, so I think it'll just be a pretty standard start. Everyone holding positions, watching for any potential ins. So I think this gives us a little time to talk about some news that just dropped. What do you think?
So I didn't get to hear the ruling, but do you want to break down the...
Yeah, Riot just released, literally a couple minutes before we started this game, the results of their investigation into Summit from Estral. If anyone knows what's been going on, the whole issue with the DCs the other day and him being shown on stream watching the VOD of the game they were in. So according to Riot's competitive database, he breached Article 4.3 of the Code of Conduct and will be disqualified from the LTA promotion tournament effective immediately.
That's really tough if, you're looking to make it up to that next division, because he is really one of the star players of that roster. Losing him mid-tournament is going to be really tough. But don't watch the game that you're currently playing in the middle of the series. I know there were pauses, I get there was frustration, but you gotta follow the rules. And maybe we should have face cams for Titan required, just in case something similar happens. I don't know.
Yeah, don't watch the stream.
Sems make it happen.
And don't type in the chat during the game. Hint, hint, teams. That's the most common thing I've noticed across my many years of casting and tournament coordination is teams like to chat in the chat while the game is still going on.
Or there's the game is still going on for us. Maybe they've gotten out of game, and so we're getting a little spoiler alert that they are free to chat. As wow, a lot of heavy trading in the mid lane. This Ahri Sylas matchup is pretty volatile. If she, if Ahri can juke away from the chains from Sylas or even if she can interrupt his dashes with the charm, she can get the upper hand early on. You know, she has pretty good sustain for herself and can bully this Sylas out. But once Sylas hits level 6, I feel like he has a little bit more strength in his base kit, but also gets the benefit of Ahri's ultimate. So that power spike is going to be one to watch.
Yeah, I've played this matchup before, actually quite a bit. Like Sylas Ahri isn't that uncommon in a matchup. I find the best way to play it is knowing, okay, you're probably gonna get hit by the Q. Like it's just gonna happen because it's Ahri, and it's just got a long range. But you can dodge the charm. Play in the minion wave. When you dash onto her, if she's standing near a minion, like one of your minions, you dash into her and hit her. More often than not, the minion will absorb the charm. As Locke was rotating on up, but I think Thorn spotted him out. But yeah, you can do that. You basically just dodge the charm, which is like so much of her power. And yeah, I mean, you'll get hit by the Q still, but you'll have a really nice trade back, especially if you hit the W.
Yeah, one of my all-time favorite like pro clips is this one of I think it's Fakers on the Sylas into Chovy's Ahri, but maybe I've got the players backwards. There's a gank mid though.
Yeah, Locke's baiting us with these ganks. Just kind of walks casually. I don't know if you want to go in here though, Locke. Locke, where are you going? What are you doing?
Standing there menacingly.
He is, and now Ezekiel is here, and they're looking to go on in with the flag and drag, but Ezekiel gonna force the flash out of Locke. I feel like he made that way too obvious that something was amiss there.
That was a silly sequence all around. I kind of liked what Locke was doing there, just providing presence, making sure Ahri can't cancel the Sylas's back because he's so low, but going in when you see other players there felt a little too risky. And
oh no. Red v Blue getting caught walking back to the lane, but doesn't take too much damage. It's still, I mean, it's damage, but not like a massive amount. And a lot of that's that shield. Really effective with the Braum. It's just so good at blocking all of the damage, really preventing him. Unbreakable is just a good ability. Like, it's one of the best abilities for a support in the game. It's basically just a wind wall, but you can move it.
It's just one of the best abilities in the game, period. I think it's really, really underrated in terms of how obnoxious it can be. Yeah, what I was saying about that mid matchup is one of my favorite like pro clips is this clip of it's Faker on Sylas against Chovy's Ahri, just like absolutely limit testing. Like he's like less than like a quarter HP under his own turret, and he decides to take the Ahri ult and just like try to all in to pressure Chovy off of, to prevent Chovy from being able to get a good wave state. Even though he's on the precipice of dying, he plays the edge perfectly and is able to turn a losing situation into like a neutral one, which is kind of an underrated skill in a way. Yeah, so this is a very exciting matchup to watch.
Yeah, speaking of exciting, we're finally seeing the excitement of that gank returning around, and this time Locke's gonna pick that one up, securing the first blood. Red v Blue catching MVE, starting up this dragon. Locke's on his way in. Ezekiel's already in. Nope, not gonna get the flag and drag. So the dragon will go the way of MVE, but they're gonna lose some members for this. I don't think Six Dogs makes it out. I think he is not long for this world, and Smolder gonna secure that kill, get those stacks going.
Smolder up a kill now and up a little bit of CS as he's crashing this wave into MVE's bottom turret. So BRA going to be really happy with the current state of affairs here, as they're very close to getting that feat of warfare.
And I think he's already at the 25 stack mark. Can we get a Smolder stack check from production? I always like to see where Smolder be standing, but he's doing good. Yeah, he's already at 25 because he's got the AoE already. But Red v Blue might be in a little trouble, staying around a little too long, forced to flash to get on out, and now Malevex and Six Dogs looking for Fortune, but here comes Locke. The barrier coming through, but it will not be enough. Fortune will pick that kill up, and it will go to giving them the feat. Now Six Dog, they're not going to pick him, but Fortune just going to keep trying to get some stacks, force the flash to avoid the... exact ability called? Blooming Burst. I keep wanting to say it's Pop Blossom. I know that's the ultimate.
And Locke showing up on at the perfect time once again. Actually, we've got a 1v1 in the top lane here.
Yeah, now maybe one in the mid lane too, but Turd, I don't know if you wanted to go in there, buddy. YRW gonna pick that kill up. Yeah, didn't have any mana. That was a little odd.
I think he was trying to do his best cosplay of that Faker, that play I was just talking about. It looked a little similar for a second, but then he just gets charmed, goes down to the Ahri, and yeah, not quite looking like the fancy footwork that I was hoping to see there.
You want to know what the difference between them is?
What's the difference?
One of them only uses low health, the other uses low mana.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important, you know, if you're gonna dash into melee range and try to heal off the Ahri, you need to be able to actually heal off the Ahri. Otherwise, you're just giving over a free kill. And yeah, it's the summoner spell. That flash burnt by Frozen Turd. Who's, you know, still relatively even in CS here, but not gonna be happy with that death.
But sorry for interrupting. What were you trying to say before I rudely interrupted you for a silly joke?
Oh, I don't actually remember now. I've lost my train of thought a bit. I mean, I think Itblock has been doing a great job in this early game, using the strength of that Jarvan, you know, part of all 3 kills for the side of BRA, showing up at the perfect time to punish the, you know, what MVE was trying to do was punish what they saw as an overstay from Red v Blue and Fortune, but I think they overforced the play a little hard. It looked like Fortune might have been able to win the 1v2 or at least get 1 kill despite it all, and then Itblock showing up just guarantees that they make it out with the feat of warfare there. Void Grebs are going to be taken here by this Vi, though, which is going to be a nice little objective in their pocket. That's, I think, both of the first objectives claimed now by MVE. So going to still be contesting those feats in the early game.
Yeah, still keeping themselves in, so they are 1 away from the objectives 1. Turret, I don't think is going to go for a while. I don't think either of these teams have lots of turret pressure. They're not really big turret pushers, maybe Sivir and Smolder, but they're still too early in the game, really, for that to be a factor. So I think that's going to be the last of the feats taken. I'm predicting we'll get it around the 16-minute mark, maybe 17 minutes into the game. But until then, just more farming, more stacking, and Smolder's just continuing to scale here.
Yeah, Smolder's up almost 30 CS now, and that's a massive lead for a champion that scales so strongly. But you can't count out Sivir's scaling. I think even though she doesn't have, you know, that stacking passive, she still goes crazy in the late game.
Thorn popping the Dominus on Renekton, trying to just trade back with the Malphite, but now on the bot lane, Six Dog gets engaged on IP Lock, gonna pick that kill up. They're gonna knock up Malevex. They're gonna see if they can pick up a kill, but the shield will deter them from going any further as it does block the Smolder Super Scorched Breath. But another kill the way of BRA on this bottom side. That's looking great for them there.
And another effective Jarvan gank using the level 6, using that ultimate, the Cataclysm, to set up a freebie. And this bot lane getting more and more ahead for BRA. We're going to need to see some motion out of MVE. This Vi is still 0-0-0 at 10 minutes, you know, almost 11 minutes now. And I don't think it's gotten to use the cease and desist, if I'm not mistaken, to set up a play for the team. And so the more the game goes on, the harder it's going to be if you aren't, you know, trying to snowball yourself a little, because the Jarvan already has the Sundered Sky completed. You know, the Malphite is going to be stacking armor. Sylas is going to be getting tankier as well, and the Smolder is just going to be dealing more damage. I mean, he's really the one that you want to pick with this Vi. I think that's why that champion was locked in. But if Smolder and his team are strong, it's not so easy to go in. So yeah, I want to see Ezekiel make something happen here. Don't overforce the play, but they're gonna look for this second dragon potentially. If they get that, it'll claim themselves a nice little feat. They're still only down 1.5 thousand gold on the side of MVE, so certainly a playable position if they can find the angle with their engaged rules.
Thorn's looking to go on in here in the top side. Yumi doesn't have the top. Oh, that was a beautiful flash over the Malphite engage. Such a good prediction from Thorn right there. Now, Turd almost got caught, but did steal YRW's ultimate. They're looking for an engage potential. The engage is going to force the flash out of Six Dogs, but they're gonna back on up towards this dragon. A lot of potential here. Six Dogs about half health. The engage from Malevolent right on to the Sivir. The Pot Blossom going to come through, and Malevolent will pick up Loki, but they will lose the Nico in the process. Ezekiel trying to get onto Fortune. They're trying to pick up this Smolder, and they will pick up the Braum, his safety tool, and they'll get the double and a triple for Malevex. And that's going to be a 3-4-1 in favor of MVE.
MVE surging to the lead in gold, but Ezekiel's low hitting this dragon. They need to be careful because Frozen Turd could still look for a play here. Now that YRW is moving down, though, I don't know if the Silas is going to commit to it. Actually,
oh, yeah, he commits onto the Sivir. They are going to get the dragon MVE, but can they get Turd as well? I think this should be pretty easy. He's just spinning and dancing, but not enough. The kill will go their way, and they've swung that gold lead. You said they were down 1,500 gold. Now they're up 1,500, so a 3,000 gold swing, and it might be just a little bit more RVB looking for Ezekiel, but not going to find it.
Engage tools all firing on the correct cylinders for MVE. They're a huge Nico ultimate from Six Dogs, even though he has to blow the flash early in the fight off this engage from Silas, as we're going to get the replay here. So I think this is when the fight well and truly breaks out, if I'm not mistaken. No, where are we?
Right after.
I think, yeah, okay. So, yeah, we can see the Silas grabs the Ahri ultimate, but has to use the first charge right away to get himself to safety, and then looks for the Nico here. But flash from Six Dogs gets himself away. And, you know, Red Team has pretty good control over this river here. So I really need to see, again, how this starts out. Because, yeah, they've got this bush locked down. You know, they get the engage on a Malevex, but here comes Six Dog. It hits 3 members with the Pot Blossom, and from there, I think it's also just superior target focus from the side of MVE. Even though the charm misses on Fortune, you know, everyone on their team is hitting the same people when they can, and it's a little more scattered for BRA. Their target access isn't quite so good, and that's the team fight win over to the side of MVE, getting themselves a very important feat. Fighting top here.
Yeah, they might be able to get another Numi. He's forced to use the ult to run away, but the Vi ult from Ezekiel with the Dominus will be enough, and they're going to grab that kill as well. But yeah, going back to that fight, I want to talk about, you know, Frozen Turd grabbing the Ahri ult and immediately using it. Oh, hang on, actually, charm landing from YRW, looking to see if he can pick up Turd. Oh, good dash to change the direction of the Q coming back, and that will pick up the kill. So yeah, MVE suddenly just accelerating in this game. Locke now trying to just get out from the area by the Krugs, and oh boy, this was looking so solid for BRA, but now they're down 2,000 gold.
Yeah, and like I had said that, you know, Ezekiel, I wanted something to happen because he had no KP at 11 minutes. 3.5 minutes later, he had 5 KP, and now we've got 2 turrets taken by MVE, a dragon, and it looks like the Rift Herald's going to go their way as well. So this lead for them is really exploding. They're going to need to hold on to it, though, because if they can't continue to push what they've built here, Smolder is going to become a problem. But yeah, the Vi has, you know, really shown up here. It has a little bit of a CS lead, is getting in on the kills. It's exactly what Malevolent needed in this game.
Yeah, and you know, we've seen games where Smolders have been down 10, like their team is down 10k, Smolder hits 225 stacks and just wins the game. So that's still always a potential. Like that goal lead will not matter if Smolder gets to 225. So that's going to be MVE's goal to end this game before that point. But also, BRA, they really let it slip around that Dragon Pit. I wanted to call it out, but before YRW killed Frozen Turd. But Frozen Turd, at the beginning of that fight, grabbing the Ahri ult, ults immediately away when no one was even engaging on him. I think it's because he just saw them and just reacted. But then, like, ults back in with the Ahri ult, doesn't hit anybody with any damage from it, just kind of uses it for mobility. And then Locke losing the Jarvan ult, like, without the Cataclysm, without the hijack, that's so much of the power from BRA just gone, and I think that's what really set MVE to start that fight up after they saw IP Lock go back in, because they just had no way to keep them separated. And now Numi losing to Thorn out on this top side, the Cleaver. We saw the other side of this in the last game when the Ornn had all of that armor. Numi's probably gonna die here. Yep, he will. Thorn gonna pick that one up in the solo kill, just casually runs him down. And now another fight breaking in this jungle. They're looking for it. Pop Blossom gonna miss the targets. Ezekiel also used the ult to start that fight out. Now they're trying to kite backwards. Smolder is smoldering forward though. Here comes Mom. They're looking for Lock. Lock will finally fall, but Fortune on the hunt has picked up one, looking to maybe pick up another. Grabs two. Can he get a third? No, he's not. The flash forward will allow Thorn to pick up the double kill, but those are more kills going into Smolder's pocket.
And that was a 4v5 if I'm not mistaken. This whole time YRW is just knocking down the bot turret. But I think the big story of that fight to me is Thorn saying that, you know, game number 1 was a fluke. He is 4-0 on this Renekton, sitting on 2 items now. And even though the Malphite can stack armor, he's shredding it with that cleaver and does not mind this matchup one bit as he's taking control of the top side in game number 2.
Yeah, it's just much better performance out of MVE. They're, you know, now that they're the ones on the other side of the matchup, the ones that aren't running the tank top, but more of the bruiser, the ones that have a couple more tools under the belt, it's definitely looking a lot better for them. And, you know, we see this with new teams. They enter the league. Sometimes they can have success. Often they struggle a little bit when they first get in the league, but they can have success. But because, you know, they're not as experienced, they sometimes can have games like this that are a little bit off from them. So the question is, can they come back from it? Like we said, Smolder is here. He has the potential to be that late game insurance policy. This Dragon, you know, stacking these could be one of their routes back into this. They don't want to let Soul Point go over MBE into position. YRW going to land the charm onto Lock. Ezekiel going forward. They're looking for a target, but they're not going to find the shutdown on to YRW. The Dragon going to go away of MVE. Thorn going forward with the dominance. Huge amounts of damage, but Fortune is firing. Trying to run back, though. Malevex trying to pick him up, but the shield's gonna keep blocking. Mom coming in from over the top, looking. Everyone's so low, but the shutdown gonna go the way of Frozen Turd. Six Dog on the run. The Pop Blossom coming in, but won't be finished in time. They will pick him up, and now they're looking for Ezekiel. The smite to kill Lock. And now the ultimate from the Vi is enough. They will take out Fortune for the double kill, but Turd will grab another kill to go on a killing spree. They lost the Dragon, but overall they get a lot of gold back in their pockets from that fight.
Yeah, it's a 4 for 2 in favor of BRA in this fight. You can see YRW trying to find the flank here, but this is not a very tanky Ahri. And so the stolen Vi ultimate from Frozen Turd punishes her overstep here. I don't even think she gets to use the ultimate, and she just goes down. But Malevex in this fight does so much damage. The AoE from the Renekton and the Sivir nearly secures the fight. Like that Jarvan living on a sliver of HP, Malphite living on a sliver of HP, Smolder living on a sliver of HP, and then Malevex steps a little too far up and gets punished brutally for it, giving the shutdown over to Frozen Turd, and Six Dogs, you know, not able to find the ultimate until the end there, which doesn't get in use. But Ezekiel really salvages things here for the side of MVE. Was still able to smite the Dragon amid all that chaos, and then picks up these 2 kills on the fight in the 1v4. I mean, that's still pretty impressive.
It is, incredibly, especially to hold the cease and desist for that long. Now Frozen Turd's gonna pick up another kill onto YRW. And I'm hearing from production, Smolder at 148 stacks. It's almost smoldering time, team. It's almost there, but Atacon gonna go the way of MVE. The only person around there is Numi to contest it. Everyone else sees it, and it is rushing down. This Dragon is, I mean, not Dragon, the Atacon is going down a little slow. It will finally fall, but Numi gonna keep walking forward. Malevex forced to use the on the hunt to get the team out of there, but Locke looking for Six Dogs, gonna drop the Cataclysm. Pop Blossom coming in from over the top, a red versus blue gonna pick that kill up. Ezekiel now trying to run, cease and desisting onto Fortune, but this isn't a low Smolder this time, this is big Smolder, and that leads him right to Malevex, trying to back, getting locked up, getting stunned up, and red v blue will be the one to secure that kill. 3 for nothing going the way of BRA, teleporting also to the mid lane, trying to stop this turret from going down. It will still go down, but Numi is here to prevent anything else from dropping.
The gold now mostly evened up by the BRA, taking some good fights as MVE, you know, they lose the Ahri on the top side, but they make an objective play out of it anyway. But it is punished. They don't have anywhere to go. The long flank from IP Lock is going to really be the one that, you know, what starts that play off. And yeah, BRA neutralizing the gold situation is crucial for them to let this smolder keep scaling, because as you mentioned previously, Raptor, he is getting close to that crucial breakpoint, those 225 stacks, where he is going to deal massive AoE damage. And yeah, but even though the gold is even, we do have to, you know, point out that MVE has 3 dragons, and they have, I believe they also got the grubs in the early game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they got the grubs, they got the herald, and so there's a lot of kind of hidden power on the side of MVE, thanks to those buffs from the dragon, from the Otacon, that, you know, with the team composition they've got, like the AoE damage that Otacon provides on kill might be really useful for them, you know, chaining those resets with Ari, chaining the AoE damage with Sivir. It's maybe not talked about as much, but also just the XP and adaptive force is, you know, doesn't show up on the gold graph, but certainly does help out when you're taking a fight.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate for them. It's Chem Dragon as the soul. It's not a bad dragon, but I would argue of the souls, it's probably my least favorite to get. It's just not as, it doesn't feel as noticeably impactful as the others, and the base stats aren't the most amazing. Uh-oh, Red v Blue has been found out, backing in a bad spot. Stunned up, locked up, airborne, gone. Thorn gonna go unstoppable with that one.
It's just a greedy recall spot from Braum. You have no idea who's in that river, and they are waiting in the bush on the side of MV. That's probably going to be the dragon secured for them, unless BRA can pull out some sort of miracle to stop this steal. But it's going to be another catch.
Yeah, Locke getting caught this time. Pot Blossom gonna land. Now they're ulting onto Frozen Turd. I misspoke. They went right to Locke. Malavek's gonna pick that kill up. Dragon should be easily secured by them. It should be an easy soul. Turd going forward though, looking with a big Pot Blossom, but only manages to hit onto Thorn. And here comes the Malphite. He's rock solid, but is it enough solid? It is not. Thorn gonna pick up a double kill there onto Silas and Smolder. Can he make it a triple onto Numi? Our adverse Blue is here, shielding, blocking, giving everything he can to save his top laner. And the Dragon, it's only taking one person to get it. Red v Blue will fall again. Malevex will be the one to pick that kill up. And MVE, they're pushing forward. They're gonna break this inhibitor turret. This is going from bad to worse for BRA.
Just when it felt like BRA was finding a bit of footing in the game, it's a sloppy back from Red v Blue into another face check from Locke. You know, chaining those deaths together with a great punish from MVE, exploiting their vision control that they have around this dragon, their earlier setup, and that gets MVE the soul. And now this game is going to be much harder to play. I know the Chemtech Drake maybe doesn't have the, you know, feel as good, but I think for this Vi and Renekton in particular, it's going to make them much harder to kill, and, you know, able to just, yeah, really play these extended fights as the front line for MVE the way they need.
Yeah, it's just such a, like we said, easier comp to run from BRA, but in that, every once in a while, you know, these harder to pull off comps with that MVE are running with all this engaged, but still a lot of like positioning, making sure in the right spot. That is like, they're doing so well at it. And now Turd has found YRW, is stealing the ultimate. They're both just dashing and prancing, looking around, trying to find ways in onto this. Six Dogs is here, Ezekiel is here. Turd is 1v3, and I don't think he's going to be long for make this 1v4. There goes cease and desist. There goes the on the hunt. 3 ultimates used there to get him, but kill's a kill, and that is a big member of BRA who will be down. Baron up, and now Thorn and Numi just going at it on the top side here. I'm on the bottom side. The top laner's on the bottom side. Baron has been started up. The teleport coming in from Six Dogs. Making their way down, looking to see if they can get this. Smolder came down to help out and try to kill Thorn, so it's only 2 members from the side of BRA here. Here comes Mom from over the top. Thorn burns the Dominus. Can they at least get this kill here before the Baron? There goes the flash. He's getting on out. Six Dog now getting engaged on, though. Is trying to pop the Pot Blossom, but Red v Blue and IP Lock will hold that on. The Baron has basically been stopped. Vi is trying to continue it, prevent it from healing, but here comes the teleport. There's also the Cataclysm. They're continuing forward. Frozen Turd is here. The IP Lock and him are going to find that kill. And now Numi looking for YRW. MVE may have bit off more than they could chew here, and BRA may have really just had the big brain play, holding with just 2 members now, looking for YRW. He's actually got the ult back up. He's trying to run, he's trying to dash, and he will get on out. But without the AD carry, with so many members forced to back, this might be the Baron call for BRA. They are starting it up. They're looking for an opportunity to take this objective, get themselves a nice gold lead, a lot of power back into this. The teleport coming through from Thorn. They've got to be careful here. There are still 4 members. They get the engage on the YRW, and he is going to fall. Fortune's going to pick that kill up, and now 3 members of MVE stand to try and stop this Baron take. Malevolent is up and is trying to get back to the team. Locke goes forward. They find Ezekiel. They get him airborne. They stun him up, and he will fall. Fortune picks that kill up as well. Baron, though, reset. So this continues going, this dance around the Baron. Both teams really didn't want to let this objective go, and Thorn still thinking about it. I mean, he's shown up really big in situations like this before, but I don't think he's going to be able to really even try to steal this. So BRA secures the Baron after MVE tried starting it and find themselves in a pretty solid spot, back again to almost complete gold parity.
Gold has just about evened up because of that massive shutdown from getting the Baron. And it's MVE a little unsure of how they want to play things. I feel like they got a little split. You know, they kind of panicked seeing the Jarvan over the wall. They try to go on him, but even though there's only 2 members, the Jarvan and the Braum there at that initial Baron play, if you're going in 1v2, your team being in Baron pit doesn't matter. They're not able to just fly over like Smolder can and hit. You know, that's a flashless Sivir, and because they get split, the TP in from Frozen Turd is able to make a pick happen, and the Baron eventually goes down. You know, I even think after those first 2 kills, there was still an angle for MVE with Thorn's TP, but once again they get a little antsy. You know, 6 Dogs had to run away from the play, and then Ezekiel goes down trying to bail out the Nico, and yeah, now BRA, potentially back in this game from what seemed like a very losing position.
Yeah, this has been swinging back and forth. And that's just what we see at this level of play. That can happen a lot, but BRA currently the ones with the lead, pushing forward with the Baron, getting that outer tower, the last one finally falling, so they've gained a little bit more zone of control that they can exert. It's Locke and for Numi kind of hanging out, looking to see if anybody wanders over they can pick off with an engage, but no one's really taking that step. No one really wants to walk forward, except Numi. Numi and Thorn are like, I'll walk forward. I can be the body check stuff with, but it is still going. YRW finds the charm onto Locke, half healths him and forces the mom out of Fortune. So that is 1 ultimate down. 30 seconds until the Elder spawns. Might not be quite the position that BRA wants to find themselves into, as Clone does spot out Numi from 6 Dogs. Everyone jockeying around. MVE, the ones forced to back towards the top side here, but Elder up.
Yeah, the position for Elder is really hard to play because these Baron waves, MVE just keeps having to respond to them, and they haven't been able to get vision around this river. If they walk into the death bush here and Smolder gets to do his thing, that could be devastating.
It could be, and they almost did. Numi, though, kind of giving it a little bit away. It's just like a big rock. It's hard to not see him when you walk on in. And yeah, this Baron wave doing such work here to keep MVE off of the Elder, but no one's on it at all. So Ezekiel, oh, they get the engage, but it's onto a clone. Oh no, there goes Numi's ultimate, and there's the charm for YRW onto Locke. The fight on in, the Cataclysm on to the backline. Malavic's gonna pick up Locke there. The Pop Blossom and the Dominus just shredding the members of BRA. The Smolder has fallen. The Braum has fallen. That's probably gonna be the game. Turd going golden, but is not long for this world. Trying to just find anything, but Malevolent will pick him off, and the Nico clone bait. You said how effective the Nico pick could be. We've talked about this before, about how tricky that clone can be as a tool, and it pays off in spades for MBE as they're going to walk this in and take game number 2. Unless Numi can do something. He doesn't have ultimate. He's burning down so quickly. Yeah, he did clear the wave. They don't have anything here except that one little minion. He is gone, but the members, even though they're respawning, they don't have much time. Locke trying to stop him, but it will not be enough. MBE is going to take game number 2.
And it's once again the top lane show, this time with Thorn pulling out a 9-0 Renekton to close things out. Huge performances in every team fight. And I mean, in that last team fight, though, it's the Nico clone that made the difference. I don't know if we'll be able to see a replay of it, but the Jarvan used the flag and drag over the wall onto the Nico clone, and I think there was maybe an ultimate spent as well on the clone because they thought they had that pick. You know, I think the pressure may be getting to the side of BRA a little bit, feeling like they had to get some value out of that Baron, you know, use that position, lead themselves in the river, but it's a little antsy. And as soon as that Jarvan uses his combo over the wall, it's punished by the Ahri. She ults in, she hits the charm, you know, YRW, playing punish really well. And once the Jarvan's caught, it gives the angle for the rest of MBE to follow up. And the AoE damage in the team fights, even though there's a Smolder on the other side, Sivir does just as much damage. Sure, there's no execute, but those boomerang blades bouncing around, the ricochet, it hurts when she is online like that, and she's able to throw those into, you know, what is a very melee heavy team on the side of BRA. There's a lot of room for that ricochet to do its work.
Yeah, and that really wasn't. They did use an ult. Numi used the Malphite ult to start that engage onto the clone. So no Malphite ult basically means you don't have your biggest team fight tool, and you saw it. They just scattered to the wind around that Elder, and without the Mom as well, because Fortune used that earlier before this all started out. Production. Hey, production. Well then, well that's I mean, I guess he's just trying to say they got clapped. The cheeks got clapped by MBE, bro. Oh boy. You guys can't hear it. Production's breaking. Oh, but the teams are at 1-1 right now. Game 3, it all comes down to this for BRA and MBE. What do they have to bring us going into this game? We'll find out shortly after this break. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to game number 3 of the Conquerors League. That's right. BRA and MVE have gone the distance in this series and are taking us to this last game. And it was really back and forth in game number 2, very different than game number 1. So I feel like anything's on the table now.
Anything is on the table, and what I'm hoping is on the table is a hype matchup in top lane, because both top laners have really gotten to show their stuff, dominating game number 1 for the side of Eternity, and game number 2 on the side of Thorn. Just both massive performances out of top lane. I hope we get to see, like a Riven versus Camille, or a Yone or a Fiora. Some of these hype. I don't actually think these guys play that much of those. I see like Irelia and Yone in their pools. Something that can just dash all over the place, so we can always have the camera up top and see who truly is the better top laner. That's what I'm hoping for in game number 3. But a lot of those picks aren't. They might not be the most stable. So team's probably not going to get my wish, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to see if you get it. I think your wish is to see a Gwen.
I'd take Gwen. Gwen can pop off. She has skill expression,
I think Gwen would be fun to watch. I'm hoping to see. Honestly, I kind of want to see a Briar. I know she got nerfed, but I just like watching Briar. I think it's a fun champion. And it's just chaos. But
Briar looks, absolutely OP because of the healing and damage reduction, or she looks like a total dud who just uncontrollably ints under your tower. So she is fun to watch, but I think that also gives a lot of teams hesitation to pick it, unless you really build a comp around it where you've got, maybe like a slightly supportive mid with a lot of setup, or like a Seraphine bot that can set you up with that ultimate and keep you topped up with the heals and shields, stuff like that. But with all our speculation, I think we are ready to get into draft now.
Yeah, let's see what these teams have in store for us. Game number 3, baby. Let's go. What do these teams have? I'm guessing first ban, Nefiri. Well, actually, no, it's MVE on the other side, so it's going to be Viego, then Nefiri.
Probably going to be keeping the same bans. I really like when teams use Fearless to say, like, okay, we've been banning this champion because it counters something we want to play, and now that it's off the table, we are actually free to leave that pick up or something. When teams can adjust the draft instead of just banning the OTPs every game or something. When you can set yourself up favorably, and we are seeing a change with the Zarya ban. I don't think that was there before, but still a lot of focus to the junglers from BRA. MVE keeping the Orianna. If I had to guess, they might keep this. Yeah. I think that the Volibear, also a new ban, but I might expect to see, maybe a Galio ban. That's been there for MVE in the previous games. And yeah, BRA just targeting the junglers. They don't want to get engaged on.
Yeah, a lot of nerf champions that have been still in that ban list, the Volibear, the Ori, but I'm not seeing a Nefiri ban. So I have a feeling MVE might be looking that direction, and BRA is definitely not. They're going with that Maokai.
They'd been banning the Maokai, so that's another champion they didn't really want to see. I'm interested why they left it up. Maybe they feel like they've got a good answer into it now that, again, the champion pools have been a little bit more restricted. But first things first, it's going to be the Xin Zhao picked up as a response to that. Interesting, as a, I don't see it as a direct counter, but it is another one of those like staple jungle picks. And the Morgana to pair with it, she can make him unCCable, kind of enable him. Also has a lot of root duration. If we hadn't seen the Xin, I would say the Morg could be jungle, because that's another pick that's been really strong. But as it is, I think that's going to be a Morgana mid. And now we're seeing the Nefiri locked in on the side of Battle Rift Assassins, trying to live up to the name with that assassin pick.
I have an idea of what this... Okay, I especially have an idea of how this could be. It'd be really cheeky of this of MVE to run it, but I'm gonna wait because I need to see at least one more pick to know. But there is a potential that is not a Xin Zhao jungle.
Have they played this top or something?
No.
That isn't...
Something I have seen a little bit of, and I've played a tiny bit of, but I found was really good, is Xin Zhao mid, especially into Galio. It is literal hell for Galio because he never gets to engage with anything because you're just getting on top of Xin Zhao, and that's not where you want to be.
That's where he wants to be.
It would be really weird. I would not expect it. It's not something with a lot of games. It's probably about 50 across, like 50 to 100 games across a patch of it, but it has, I think, about a 67% win rate right now, or something like that. It's a very high win rate. It should not have that win rate, but it does.
Small sample size can.
Yeah, I mean,
a little wonky.
It's making me feel more. It could be Morgana jungle. I mean, that would be a good jungle pick. A lot of CC to lock down with Forest coming out here. We know that's Nefiri jungle because we already have the Galio going into mid. But what's going to be the top answer from BRA? And
I want to see something hype. I want to see Irelia. Okay, it's the Gnar. They had a big performance on Gnar in their series last week, and I think that's going to be a nice addition to the team composition. Adds a little bit of range damage because their team's pretty short range, but can also give a nice bit of AoE engage to threaten the enemy team. And it's going to be the Poppy locked in as the final pick for MV. So we'll see where these champions slot into when all is said and done, but I'd expect that that's just Poppy top, Xin Zhao jungle, Morgana mid.
Yeah, that's the usual expectation. I'm just saying this is the one scenario because that's the best matchup I think for the Xin is the Galio. So I wouldn't if they did that, it'd be big brain.
I mean, they did leave the Galio open. It would make a lot of sense if they viewed that as a counter pick and wanted to play it as such. But I think it's going to be a win for Occam's Razor here. The simplest team composition is what we're going to get here, unless there's some sort of last minute change that we're not seeing. But I do think the Morgana should also be a pretty solid pick into Galio because his base damages aren't that high. A lot of his damage relies from locking you down, following that up with a Q with an auto attack, the passive enhanced auto attack. So if Morgana can black shield the initial taunt or the initial justice punch, that's going to hurt a lot of Galio's follow-up damage. Plus, if he goes in, she can just root him, and now the team gets to charge in on Galio. So it's I see that as like a really good matchup for Morgana as well. She builds like Blackfire Leandries, so she does a lot of damage to tanks. And I think she can empower her team really well. But I feel like we didn't get to fully assess these comps as a whole. So Raptor, I'm curious to get your thoughts. Who do you think has the winning comp going into game number 3?
Well, I am a little sad it isn't the cheeky pick. I just think it would have been fun, but that's okay. I still give it to MVE. I just think they've got so many good tools. The Poppy to stop Nefiri from getting to ult in, Gnar from getting to jump on in, preventing Galio dash. You got Morgana to really prevent any of that CC locking up. You've got Xayah just can kind of peel for herself. Leona, a lot of CC. Like they're both very CC heavy, very good traditional comps, but I just feel like MVE has more counter tools than BRA does. And I would not be surprised if they took it. Now, that being said, I think a lot of it is going to really come down to whether Lot can get a lead going on this Nefiri and can make things happen. Because if you can't, we've seen Assassins. If they don't get ahead, their life is not fun. Just to exist, especially with how many tanks are here and bruisers. So I want to see. I think it's going to come down to that. It's, can Ezekiel keep Locke from being getting a lead, or can Locke get past that and really snowball? And if even Ezekiel just keeps Locke to just basic farming, I still take that as a win for the side of MVE.
I'd agree. If the junglers are going even, it's going to be tough for Locke to get what he wants done. And I mean, there's not great Nefiri targets in this game. You got, Poppy and Xinzhao and Leona, all of whom have good access to CC, responsive CC if you get engaged on. They're very tanky. And then you've got the Morgana, the Dark Binding can also hit the dog if she goes on you. And Xayah has her ultimate, the Featherstorm, if she gets engaged on. So there's really no easy ultimate targets here. So maybe we'll see a slight adaptation from the Nefiri going. Maybe there's kind of a Bruiser Nefiri build or something that'll let her, deal a little more sustained damage. I think a lot of the intention with BRA's comp is to use the Nefiri as a vehicle for Galio ult. Because when Nefiri goes in, she can basically untargetably just get into the backline. And if Galio is able to land a good follow-up ultimate off of that, it's going to be key for them to win the fight, because that can set up the follow-up from the Maokai ult, the Gnar ultimate, Varus getting to hit people. And I'll be interested to see how the Varus ends up playing, because there's a good amount of short-range champions for him to hit if he is going for an on-hit build, but those champions also have a lot of threat, which means maybe he doesn't want to be auto-attacking. Maybe he'd rather be throwing out the poke. But if he goes for the poke, then they can stack armor, and that makes it a little harder to deal the damage he wants to deal. So I think both builds aren't, have potential to struggle a little bit in this game. There's not a clear winner in my eyes for the AD carry there.
Yeah, I would be curious to see which variant of Varus we get as well. And only a minute to go until the game is underway. We just got a little bit of a spectator delay catching us today, but I'm also going to be looking towards, how that mid matchup goes. Galio Morgana, you would think that should favor Morgana pretty hard as a matchup. She has the clear. She can kind of keep up that with Galio. She can keep him rooted. She definitely has the Black Shield to really help if, a gank happens. She can still prevent getting locked up. I think this could be good. I think this could be good for MVE. I need to see we're at that level in this league where, sometimes it really just comes down to player difference. You put them on a comp that maybe isn't the best, but it's their best champion, by far, it can make all the difference. So anything can happen, and that's what makes it so exciting to cast this. We never know what's going to happen in these games.
Yeah, it's always unpredictable. I think I'd give it overall, just to recap, I think MVE has a little bit easier of a time playing the game because they have a lot of CC. I'm a big believer just CC makes winning games easy, but there is maybe a slight range advantage for the side of BRA because they have both the Gnar and the Varus, and if that's something they can use to kind of get a lead early, get pushing bot lane, start stacking dragons, things like that, then they might be able to find windows. Or again, if this Nefiri is somehow unleashed, she could be a problem. But I think there's enough tools on MVE to make that pretty unlikely.
Yeah. Well, we're spectator delay should be done now, so we are going to get underway into game number 3. Just getting the transition over right now, but this is it, the last game of the night. Who's gonna take it? Is it gonna be BRA? Is it gonna be MVE? Let us hear you in the chat. Shout it out. We are reading it. But as we get underway in this game,
Stack in the bush from BRA, hoping someone walks in there, gets rooted up, and gives over an early kill to them, but it doesn't look like MVE is going to be trying anything. I don't think they have all that strong of a level 1 unless they all start their CC tools, in which, you know, if things don't go their way, that's going to kind of screw over their lane. So I don't think they're going to do that.
Yeah, I think they're just gonna be very casual. No one wants to walk into death bushes. And BRA, they just realized, oh, it's coming here, so we're just gonna hang out. Though, now that they've walked away, MVE is kind of pushing forward. Oh, they didn't leave a ward too. They don't know they're here. Okay, so vision game 1 by MVE, level 1. Let's go.
A little bit more vision placed down. A little bit of redundancy from those 2 wards bot side, but, you know, it's fine. They'll get to see the pathing from Locke. No, he's not starting on those Raptors. He's up by the blue buff. So both junglers starting on the top side and going to clear down. Maybe going to look to make something happen in the bottom lane. As the Comet from Fortune indicates to us that this will be a lethality Varus. You know, has a lot of potential to control space around objectives, poke enemies out, but it's also, you know, a little lower in the DPS department.
Well, just a little low, and a little bit of damage coming through on the side of MVE. A little bit of poke from the Varus. That is Comet, so this should be poke Varus that we're going to be getting here. So interesting. Interesting choice and decisions, but makes sense. You want to stay really far away from this Leona and Zai. You don't want to get into that range that they can hit you and pull feather daggers and hit those stuns. But yeah, I don't think though we'll see too much aggression early, at least until, you know, closer to 6. We might see a little bit. Six Dogs is looking ready and raring to go, but not 3 yet, so it doesn't have all that shielding coming through from the W, that bonus armor and magic resistance. But goes right on in to Fortune, and the inverse engage from Red v Blue. Malavek's gonna pull back those feathers and get that stun up, and I think MVE coming out pretty ahead here, forcing the flash out. They get the root, they go forward, and First Blood gonna go the way of MVE's AD carry.
Red v Blue goes deep, but has Ignite, not heal. You know, both of these bot laners are rocking the cleanse, but in the early fights, unless you've already gotten the Ignite onto a low target, the heal gets a lot of value because of the move speed and the shared HP advantage you get out of it. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a little deep from their side, and Leona is now ahead in the early game. Xayah is a little ahead in the early game. I think that BRA's bot lane kind of just wants to slow down the tempo, poke, and then look for the all-in. So MVE finding the all-in window first is really big for them.
Yeah, and they use that to rotate on up, give a little bit of farm over so they can help their jungler secure the Scuttle Crab. Got a double Scuttle, actually, so big wins across the board for MVE. Still up only about 100 gold because they are losing out a bit on that top side. Currently down 10 CS in the Yordle versus Yordle matchup. But that's, I mean, it's to be expected. It's Poppy. She only has range when her passive's up, and Gnar just, I mean, he's Gnar.
Yeah, Poppy's going to have to take an early reset here, and Gnar's going to try to crash that wave into nice some farm, it looks like, as yeah, he's hit the Mega. Gets a lot more AoE damage there. Without mana, it's going to be hard for Poppy to really secure much farm, so she's got to find a window to base sooner or later. And there's a bit of a scuffle in the mid lane here, but Frozen Turd.
Yeah, and YRW getting a lot of damage in there. Ooh, forcing the flash out of Turd. Six Dogs did flash as well, but Frozen Turd doesn't have really much mana. He might have enough for one ability and his passive auto, and that should be, he should be out of mana now. But IRW, some, like, people kind of don't respect that really basic passive on Morgana, that spell vamp. I mean, it's not like a massive amount early on, but I mean, healing is healing. You take the healing you can get.
Yeah, the healing you can get is crucial there. You know, the sustain in lane makes playing into like the you know, the Q poke from Galio a lot easier, and yeah, I mean, just being able to play around your mana flow, play around your Comet, keep your resources topped up as the Morgana is, yeah, like you said, pretty underrated in the early game. She's really hard to bully out of lane, and as she gets items and levels in her W, it only becomes harder because she can just drop that on the wave and clear it out. Just control the wave at all times.
Yeah, a lot of support Morganas, you know, they'll max the Q, they'll max the black shield first, dark binding, you know, because they're in the support role. They're there to really set up the plays or help their carries out. But mid Morgana doesn't have to worry as much about that. She could just farm, which means W maxing, and that is always a great tool. And it's just often underappreciated just how powerful it can be when it's given some AP and some levels into it. Fermented Shadow's just a nice little pool. See the damage. Look at that burn. But
And it's like
on the bottoms,
even though you're not getting as much, you know, raw damage on the Q, and not as much root duration either, they're in the Q for or in the root for less time, but taking more damage while they are. So the damage neutralizes out pretty well. It's really, I think, if you've got like someone else that you're playing for, that the Q max is what you want. But mid lane, it's usually yourself, as seeing that black shield get some value in the 1v1. But phase rush on Galio also offering him a good amount of value, as he can get in and out of those fights a lot more easily. You know, if he's rocking Aftershock, it's a lot harder to disengage after taking the Justice Punch in there. And a lot of fighting down by the turret.
yeah,
On
they're
MVIC side of the map.
trying to jockey for position around this dragon, but Ezekiel will back. Has block kind of quiet so far, though he is starting up the jungle right now. Got to be careful. I'm really good at caster cursing people. So that is going to be first dragon going the way of BRA. Shouldn't be that difficult for them. There's really no contention. Ezekiel's not even walking back in this direction. And Thorn getting beat up by Numi, gets hit by the Gnarl, but he gets pushed back into the turret, and the flash from both of them to try and get away. So no flashes, and Ezekiel is here. He's looking for that flank opportunity. Mega Gnar's already been used. Gnar has been used. There aren't really many tools outside of the dash, but it looks like he did leap, so he will get on out of there to get spotted out, and no more kills.
That's exactly the kind of thing I wanted to see from these top laners, going at each other's throats. Numi looking for the solo kill under turret, but getting knocked back into Thorn's turret and almost dying himself. You know, they both have to flash each other's skill shots. That's the action I wanted to see in this game number 3. Now, the range versus melee matchup has given a nice CS lead over to this Gnar, but across the map, things are looking pretty even overall, I'd say. You know, we're dead even in gold, even though MVE is up a kill. BRA's got themselves the first Drake, and they're looking to secure these grubs too, but that could turn into a fight as there's multiple members of MVE moving down.
First grub has gone down, so Locke will at least get his buff, but now everyone's starting this out. Ezekiel and Six Dogs on in. The ult coming out from the Morgana. Gonna lock up Frozen Turds there. Six Dogs trying to see if he can get something. Ezekiel gonna grab red, the blue on the backside. Now Numi, Locke, and Turd are gonna run away. Head for the hills without their support. They don't want to take a 4v3, and they got one grub, so they can at least guarantee not the triple, but the objective overall will go the way of MVE, so preventing BRA from continuing to stack that feat. And MVE, 2 away from on the neutrals, 1 away on the kills on getting those feats, and I mean, turret, one turret. It's for everyone.
No ultimate on Numi, I think, is what really made that fight harder to play for BRA. He hadn't transformed, and didn't, even if he had, wouldn't have that Gnar up. So they, even though they find the initial look with the Galio engage, BRA doesn't really have the follow-up. Their target focus was kind of all over the place, and yeah, the grubs and the kill going in favor of MVE. Maokai's sitting at 2 deaths now. You know, these days Maokai is not that tanky until he starts getting some items in, which means if he's playing engage for his team, he has to be really, really careful about when he's taking those fights, because otherwise he just gets focused down. There's so much CC on the side of MVE that it's pretty tough for him to get out of there.
Yeah, and he's been starting to roam around the map a little bit. I've started doing this more on my tank supports. I know it's got nerfed a little bit because of the spell, but Unsealed Spellbook really on engaged supports is just so good. I kind of think he should have taken that. You know, he could have taken the teleport, could have taken Ghost, even Smite, you know, helped secure that grubs a little bit quicker, be able to rotate around the map a little bit faster. I just think, I don't know, I just feel like Unsealed Spellbook brings so much to the table, and, you know, with the changes to the support items. So, hang on, Frozen Turd dashes, I think, to his own death, basically. Oh no, he's gonna flash on out, so he will just barely get away. And on the bottom side, Nature's Grasp stopping a potential gank from Ezekiel, but Yeah, that's a lot of things burned from BRA right there. And Dragon's up in a minute 44. The Nature's Grasp will definitely be back, but that flash from Frozen Turd is not going to.
Nor is the flash from Fortune or the cleanse. Now, Six Dogs did use flash and ultimate as well, but I think as an engaged support, you're quite happy to burn your own flash to get it off of the enemy AD carry, because they're the ones who really need to stay alive. And there's still other flashes available on the side of MBE. Ezekiel and YRW both have theirs, and if they're able to set up and engage with a binding or the audacious charge from Xin Zhao, it's going to be a bad news for the flashless Varus. But he can play poke. He can play range because of that poke build.
Yeah, but it's still not all the way online. It's just got not even the first full item yet, so not fully effective. Still stacking the tier as well. So it'll be a little bit before he's fully, like, a real threat. You can see right there, the poke is decent, but nothing to write home about quite yet. And the dragon is up in 35 seconds. Locke was in the area and backed up. That's actually someone else I want to talk about. Locke really hasn't done anything this game.
Yeah, I think we were both saying in Champions like that as well.
Oh, hang on. Yeah, Turd has been caught. He doesn't have a flash this time. He is stunned up, getting knocked up, bounced around, trying to use the Galio ult to get away. Will it be enough? It will not. Xin Zhao will claim it with the Crescent Guard.
It's just the crowd control lockdown fest, making it impossible for Galio to get out there. Aggressive play on the Morgana because she has the winning matchup, and that mid jungle I think is so much stronger for the side of MVE right now in particular, but really for most of this game I think that's going to be the case. I think the Galio Nefiri is going to really struggle here. I think BRA might have. There's a smite steal.
Yeah, struggling, but not to get the objectives. They are going to get the dragon and get on out too. The Chains of Corruption will prevent MVE from going further forward. And yeah, good steal from Locke. Not doing a lot this game, but if you're securing objectives, you're still doing your job as the jungler, right?
Doing it to some extent. I mean, we'd like to see kills. We said this. Nefiri probably needs to. There's a flash in. Oh,
that is a flash in. I thought Thorn was gonna die there for sure, but he manages to secure the kill with the heroic charge. That's a good spot for him.
Solo kill as the Poppy has been, feeling the pain of getting poked by this Gnar all lane. Has to feel good to get revenge. Finally, when you catch your opponent just overstepping a slight bit, the heroic charge into the Keeper's Verdict sets up the follow-up damage from Hammer Shock. No opportunity for Gnar to flash out of there. So I guess the plus side, if you're Numi, is you do have your flash still, but you don't want to be giving over the kills like that in this match where you should be winning. I think reasonably hard in the early game, because as the game goes on, it's going to be harder and harder to play that mini Gnar and abuse the poke around, when you're fighting around objectives instead of being stuck in lane.
Yeah, now up 4-0, up about 1,200 gold. MVE is in a solid spot right now, down in farm in some places, but I mean, it doesn't really matter when you're getting kills. And Numi is taking so much damage now. Poppy getting the back and getting her first item is just so massive.
It really is. This lane has really turned around all of a sudden as they're still going at it. Feels like Numi wants revenge for that previous kill, throws the Gnar out, but yeah, not much more gonna happen. There's a gank.
Oh, yeah, Ezekiel looking for the gank opportunity. Locke is here as well. May try to dive in onto Thorn. Going in. Hasn't ulted quite yet. Is gonna use the invulnerability as Ezekiel goes forward. YRW looking to hit a stun, but will just barely miss Numi.
I think the dog actually tanked that one for Numi. Heroic dog moment there.
Just Numi. Just Locke plays. Almost said Numi plays, but
imagine if the Fury could individually micro her dogs. That would be a whole new layer of skill expression, but I think it's just luck this time that it blocks the dark binding and helps Numi make it out alive.
Yeah, but who's not going to probably be alive? Fortune, as he does get annihilated right there. Nature's Grasp will not be enough. The engage from the Galio, though, to see if they can help out. Malevex trying to see if he can get another kill back in. Oh, but the Galio taunt will be enough. Frozen Turd gonna pick up that kill. And now Locke gonna ult on into Six Dogs. Turret did drop, so they don't really have a lot there. And he will fall. But the Herald did go down in favor of MVE. So that will be that feat going their way. They get... Wait, is that not the feat?
No one has feats yet because it's only 2 objectives a pop. 2 of those
Oh,
neutral
I'm
objectives.
so sorry.
First turret, yeah.
That's 2 grubs, not 2. I don't know why I thought 2 Herald. Wow, really throwing it back there. But still, I mean, they got the first objective.
It is,
right?
Yeah. But both teams are tied up at 2 objectives apiece. So once again, we're at that spot where the next neutral objective is going to decide who gets those feats, and it's probably going to be the dragon in 1 minute and 13 seconds.
I think so, yeah. I almost forgot that whole started out with a turret going down for BRA, so good spot now. Ezekiel hiding, waiting, and there's Numi figuring out he's there. So gotta back up, stay away from Thorn. Numi going forward, looking to see if maybe he can pick. That's the slow, that's Gnar, and that's a flash kill out of Numi onto MVE's top laner.
Numi gets revenge, still has the flash up from that earlier play, and gets the kill this time, but Thorn's flash is going to be up much sooner if they're going to be joining these team fights, as Frozen Turd looks to be in a bad spot here.
Found out again here with YRW's ultimate. They're just going to stun him for days. Six Dog going on in. Locke was looking for YRW, but now there are 4 members from MVE here. They've already killed Turds, so might as well just let them have it. I don't think that's something you want to contest, but with only 10 seconds till the dragon is up, I think they should be free. This should be the feats going the way of MVE, but I thought they were going to get it last time, and Locke managed to steal that too, so could be another opportunity for him as the top turret has fallen. BRA getting a little bit more gold in their pocket. YRW looking for Locke, gets the invulnerability out of him. There's the Chains of Corruption, but blocked by the Black Shield. Feels like that was a little wasted. Now they're still
teleporting behind from Frozen Turd.
Yeah, Turd teleporting in from behind. The Nature's Wrath coming on through, but hasn't really locked anyone up yet. And they went forward. They're looking for Locke. They're knocking him up in the air. He's trying to flash and go invulnerable to get on out. He goes into the pit. Another teleport coming in from Numi here. Six Dogs will fall. Ezekiel went over the wall, and he will take out Locke, but now he's trapped with Numi in the pit. Thorn has come down, and he's caught Turd sleeping. Catches him with the knockup and manages to take him out. And Ezekiel went over the wall and, oh, almost picked up. Oh, he does get fortune. Okay, the burn will secure that kill. Now Thorn gonna find Numi, get that stun up. Gonna see if he can hit that Keeper's Verdict. He does. The stun's coming on through. Red v Blue may try to give up his life, but he's not gonna. It's gonna back away, and 3 for 1 in favor of MVE, and they're gonna claim their prize. The dragon and the feats.
Feats finally secured by someone. It's MVE with a winning fight. It looked a little scary for them for a second because I thought they were just going to do the dragon, get the feats, and get out. But instead, they chase onto the players that are mid. That buys time for Frozen Turd to come back up and look for that TP flank. But it doesn't find everyone that he wants. And so MVE is able to play the fight out. Ezekiel goes huge in the backline, just playing this guerrilla warfare Xin Zhao in the enemy jungle, picking people off left and right as they try to hunt him down. And he is actually the hunter in that exchange.
Yeah, and I want to call him out for also, like, you know, he did a really good job. He prevented Locke from getting to do anything. He just made him use his invulnerabilities to dodge, force him to go over the wall. He never got a chance to even try to get to the Xayah, to get to YRW. And that, you know, that was, I think, a really big factor there. And also the teleports. Like, Turd's fine, but Numi, like, he's, like, there's no wards around, so he has to teleport so deep just to even be able to participate in that fight. Thorn just walked on down, and by the time Numi gets there, like, the fight is, you know, you already lost your jungler, and you're not able to really get through the Xin Zhao on your own. It's just, you know, it seemed unfortunate. Just a little bit of miscommunication, a little bit of misplay, but good control of individual movements from MVE to really separate BRA like that.
The flash.
I try to do it again. Oh, hang on. Ezekiel finds Locke. Nature's Grass coming on through, but Leon has come over the wall as well. It is a 3v4 currently. Galio coming on through, going to slam onto 3. Malevex has now shown up as well. Frozen Turd getting caught in the back. There goes the ultimate. Malevex going to pick up the first kill this fight. Can they get any other? The Blast Cone will get Locke to safety, but he goes on back. YRW's binding goes wide, and they're kind of cutting backwards. MVE is getting kind of low, but there is still, you know, it still could be a turn from BRA. Now, Thorn getting dueled by this Gnar, and he will get shut down. So a 1-for-1 trade could be a bit more. YRW still hanging around, and MVE is mostly backed up, and that's the call for BRA to start up Adacon, but they realize they are low and the members of MVE can still show up, so might as well just not risk it right now.
Can they get out of there?
MVE is low, but there's no DPS really on the side of BRA. This is a lethality Varus. He doesn't take objectives very fast. He's good at stealing them, but starting them up, not so much. And yeah, starting that Otacon risks throwing the game back the other way, as just reassessing how things are looking here. We've got MVE up about 2,000 gold, and they've got those feats, but it's still anyone's game at this point. I think the Xin Zhao is like the main carry right now for the side of MVE. If he's finding his targets in these fights, it's really hard for BRA to play. But if he's having a harder time getting in, if they're able to play peel for this Varus, poke down the enemies before the fight starts, you know, BRA still has every opportunity to find a win here.
Still not a decided game. It's only 1,200 difference. It could easily swing. We've seen bigger swings in this series already. Wouldn't be surprising to see another. But so far, MVE in a very controlling position. Every member on the squad doing pretty well. The really big struggle is Numi and the top side just is really starting to work Thorn in these fights. Doesn't have a lot of armor yet. And sure, there was a bit of pen because there was a cleaver. I will say, at one point, that Gnar had a cleaver. I remember seeing that.
What happened?
So he sold the cleaver, gold inefficient. Because I think what it was that Poppy, because she built the Skyward first and then got the tier, he knew there wasn't going to be a lot of armor. So that armor is just not as efficient, the armor pen, because this is more health stacking and shields, which that's not helping with. So I think that might have been the reason. Just going for more of the raw damage and DPS with the Triforce. But yeah, that it's working out. It's paying much higher dividends for the Gnar. I mean, he's already winning these 1v1s consistently, and with the fleet footwork as well, getting the heals and just getting the rundown with that. Like, look at that, just ranged trading. He's already half health, Thorn. Yeah, this Gnar is starting to become a problem.
He's getting to split push just like we saw in game number 1, in a sense. Not quite as devastating as the Orc was, but in the 1v1, certainly has the upper hand. In team fights, the Poppy has still shown up. You know, earlier in the game, we saw them like trade flashes at different timers, and that Poppy flash E into the wall is a key engage tool for the side of MVE. If she can be unlocked, if she can be left to roam free instead of being stuck in the side lane answering Gnar, she's you know, that makes this comp just that much scarier to walk into, because they already have the perma CC lockdown as Otacon's being started up. Dragon's available on the other side, and the TP in from Frozen Turd is going to signal MVE to back off of that. So they've taken a teleport advantage now. I don't know if Frozen Turd needed to TP in quite yet. The Otacon was still pretty much full HP, and now that might unlock someone on the side of BR or on the side of MVE to you know, play the split push. Problem is they don't really have a strong split push threat, and their team's already grouped around top side.
Yeah, but look down the bottom. Locke and Numi had gone down to start the Dragon. Numi's actually going to push the mid turret here. Adacon is still, like, it's just getting dragged out. It looks like BRA is just purposely attacking it to drag it as far as they can to prevent MVE from getting a chance before it resets to start it up. So this is going very well for them. Locke gets the Dragon, completely sneaking that. No one was even aware. And Adacon is just now finally getting to be started by MVE. Locke's already on the way up, though. He's going to go back to mid.
Resetting.
Yeah, it's already resetting, so I don't even have to go fast. Oh, this is just turning into disaster for MVE. The Nature's Grass coming on through. YRW gonna be forced to use the Black Shield. Six Dogs looking a little sus right there. Is gonna have to back up. Yeah, just a master macro play from BRA. They work the whole map, and it's paying off. Atacon started up. They're not going to let it reset. They're going to try to keep MVE out of this. Numi doing good work, flying space, Red V Blue, and Frozen Turd as well. Thorn trying to get on in and is going to launch Gnar way out of the fight, but he's going to hop back on in. Red V Blue force a flash to try to run away from the engage from Six Dogs Ezekiel. Now they're looking for Lock. Goes invulnerable. Galio coming on in. It's going to hit 2 at the very edge of it as they turn back around looking for Six Dogs. Lock finds the first kill. Get the reset. Now looking for Malevex. Turd going forward, trying to find this Xayah. Doesn't find him yet. Lock does fall in the backside there. Fortune will grab Ezekiel. Thorn's going to fall soon too, and oh, despite the low health bars, oh, Turd! He's bounced over to Malevex. Is he gonna get him? Is it gonna happen? It is not. Fortune is actually gonna flash snipe the kill, and that is gonna be a 4-for-1 in favor of BRA. They're gonna claim the Atacon. They've already claimed the Dragon. They got the push in the mid lane, and it's just macro masterclass from BRA.
The poke Varus gets a lot of value here because it makes MVE, scared to play around these objectives. Every time they're starting up that Otacon, getting their resistances shredded, it means those Qs, those piercing arrows, are hitting even harder. And I need to see that fight again because it was so back and forth to start things off and so all over the place. But when BRA fully commits to it, it's just the dominoes falling in their favor as they plow through MVE. And take themselves, slight gold lead, but now they're on Soul Point. They've got the Otacon buff, and what we thought was going to be a difficult game for BRA is going pretty swimmingly at this point. MVE is taking a little bit of tempo on the map now, going to try to knock down this turret in trade, but it's just an outer turret. It's not that much gold. It's certainly not going to be the game decider here. What could decide this game is the next Dragon. That's in 2.5 minutes. And of course, the Baron is now live, but I don't think anyone's going to feel confident enough to start that up quite yet. It's going to need to find a pick or an opening on the side lane to set things up as Numi.
Thorn. Numi just running him down. It's so hard for Poppy. If she doesn't have the passive, she just doesn't have any range. It's so difficult to deal with Gnar.
Yeah, the Gnar just wins hard on the side lane. They need ways to punish him, but it's felt like a struggle. I haven't really seen Ezekiel making plays there because the thing is, if he shows bot and there's 2 people down there, it gives BRA the license to start Baron up, and it's pretty hard for MVE to stop that without these tankier members with the healing, the Sundered Sky healing, and just the dueling strength that their top and jungle provide. I think it's pretty tough. Ooh, catch onto the.
That was a beautiful solar flare. Lock's gonna use the invulnerability to get out, and Nature's Grasp will also enable him as well. That was also Featherstorm as well used by Malevex. So that's the bot lane ultimate's down. They'll be up pretty quick. Like you can already see, Leona's is already almost halfway up, and Malevex is almost at the quarter, but there's still time. They don't have it, and that's the call. BRA gonna start up this Baron here. Teleport coming in from Numi. So this is already a 5v4. The teleport coming in from Thorn. 2 ultimates down. We saw this go bad for BRA last game. Now it's MVE's turn to try playing without 2 ultimates. The root did land onto Red V Blue. Oh, Numi gets a big ult onto Six Dogs, but the fight breaks out. Ezekiel going in onto Lock, looking to jump onto him. They've separated the whole team from Numi. He's trying to keep the whole everyone away from him. Frozen Turd managing to save him with the ultimate, but now he's the one being engaged on. Solar Flare comes through again. It is off the cooldown, and now they've pushed both tanks out. The turn is on to Lock. It's on to Fortune and Red V Blue. Oh, that was almost a really bad blast cone, but Thorn getting to get in range of Fortune. He is going to fall. The shutdown going the way of the Xayah. Double kill for her as they pick up the Maokai, but Six Dogs burns in the back, and that's going to be a 2-for-1 from MVE. They stop the Baron, but the mid turret is falling, and are they going to start? No, they're not. They're not going to start this up. They're just going to walk away. Lock very low here, trying to see if he can heal up a little bit or just at least dash away. Ezekiel going in onto Numi. The Gnar comes through. Frozen Turd now going on in, looking for Malevex. dashing around. There is Featherstorm now as Turd goes. Golden Lock is here. Featherstorm going to drop, hasn't pulled him back quite yet, is not going to hit anybody with it, but Ezekiel continues advancing, finds Lock, they find Galio, they find the Gnar, 3 kills for nothing in favor of MVE, and that's going to be the dragon for them.
Disastrous for BRA as the fight was looking close, but MVE finds the upper hand, and then BRA tries to take the re-engage, but they're a little on different pages. Frozen Turd shows up, and just as he goes in, Numi backs off the play, and that, it's so hard to find the finishing blow on the Saya. She has both summoner spells up. Oh, Fortune is in deep.
Fortune. Malavec's going on a rampage there. That's the call. Go right for the Baron. 10 seconds till jungle, 10 till mid, 40 until bot, 10 till top. Unless Red v Blue pulls off the steal of a lifetime, which he can't because it doesn't have Unsealed Spellbook, I think this is going to be easily going to MVE. Am I a little salty on that? Maybe, but you know who's not salty right now? MVE, because they got the Baron.
MVE gets the dragon and the Baron. They've stalled out this win condition that BRA had with the dragon stacking, and they've gotten themselves a solid 4,000 gold lead now. And I think as the game goes longer, the fights are going to get harder for BRA. There's just more incentive for MVE to stay grouped up, use that layered CC to lock down the Nefiri, lock down anyone they can find, and it's just a little bit of nerves maybe there, as Fortune feels like he has to stop the Baron or something, but that's you're one guy, that's not happening. He gets caught, and it just gives even more gold over to the side of MVE. It's also going to be pretty tough for BRA to hold off this Baron, as they don't have a ton of ranged wave clear. Varus has some, but it's not going to be enough to save the mid inner turret for now. Maybe MVE can get some of these side lanes crashing in now. I think they're really going to want take those inner turrets and continue stacking that gold into their pockets.
Yeah, we already see Thorn going bot side, trying to break that last outer turret down there. Numi coming down, Locke's also in the area, so only 3 are going to be able to be up here to answer this push from MVE on the top side. Thorn just gonna take this damage, just let it happen so he can get the turret. Here comes Locke, the ult coming through, but blocked again. So that's all out of the table, and this is the call. Top side, MVE begins the fight. Nature's Grass coming through, but the Black Shield does block. The Solar Flare allows Ezekiel to get onto Fortune. He's gonna flash to get on out of there, but Red v Blue is also going to have to flash after saving his AD carry. Turret is falling.
Ooh.
Six Dogs will not die. The turret doesn't do enough damage, but they also don't have enough minions close enough, so they're gonna have to wait for this cannon to blow it up, and it will finally break the inhibitor turret. This almost swung in a very bad direction for both these players. And also, I'd like to point out that Thornton did get out alive.
The gold lead has blossomed up to almost 6,000. Okay, it's closed back down to about 5K now, but MVE in the driver's seat now, as Numi might be caught on the side lane trying to take this 1v1. It's not a 1v1 for long.
Not for much longer. The flash out of Numi trying to run, but there are 3 people here to get a really big Gnar. But YRW is here, and it may have just baited Locke to his death. Going invulnerable doesn't matter when you're rooted up, when you can't dash anywhere, and he will file. YRW gets the kill. Ezekiel now looking for Numi, gets the dash for it, and picks him off. 2 kills now for MVE. Dragon not up for another minute and a half, but they could get a turret out of this. They still have Baron. This is the time. Start pushing this, MVE. You gotta take an objective. 2 members from BRA already rotating down. The Maokai also starting to rotate. YRW finds Frozen Turd. Oh, he got rooted when he dashed backwards. Now Six Dog goes on in with the Zenith Blade. They're looking to see if they find more. Ooh, YRW goes golden to avoid Fortune's shot. And the wave is starting to push. Maokai is here. They probably don't want to dive all 3 of these guys under the turret, but they can keep the pressure on. They can continue to keep BRA pushed back to that turret. And now, though, they're just going to reset. Get ready for the dragon in 50 seconds. Turd looking to see if he can catch anybody. Nope, not enough time with the Q. So that is going to be the perfect back time and resetting for it.
MVE gets the resets off. BRA is coming out of base, and there's going to be a pause. So we can take a look at the map. There's a vision set up for both teams around the bot side. BRA, their approach is nicely worded up, but they don't have a ton in the enemy jungle. Okay, back to live, and just gonna have to deal with this little bit of lag here now. We kind of skipped, like, I know you mentioned it earlier, but I really did not like that Nar sold Black Cleaver. Can I just say that, like, you're a champion that wants to split push. You have yourself a solid gold lead and are consistently winning the 1v1s, and you sell a completed item to get something that's more defensive. I don't like that one bit, because now he's pretty much dead even with the Poppy when he should have just been smacking her down on the side lane. It takes a little longer. Takes a little longer to get the work done, and this is a scary position for Red v Blue, who's only level 12 on the Maokai, and not all that tanky. Only 2 items completed. I think Leona lives for a lot longer if she gets caught than the Maokai does. Oh, so far.
I also don't think that Thornmail is very good. Like, there's not a lot of healing on MVE. That feels a little unnecessary to take in this situation. I feel like you could just get like Randuin's and just reduce the attack speed and it'd be much more effective, because the problem is the attack speed of Jin Zhao and Xayah, so why not just reduce that? It's a little bit better of a tool. It's a little bit better defense tool. And
Keeper's verdict.
Oh, that was a big Keeper's verdict. Catches 2 members, sending them back pretty far into the jungle towards red buff. Locke is hanging out here on the backside, looking for a potential gank opportunity, but he has been stiffed out. Ezekiel looking for him. Locke gonna go invulnerable to get away from that. The dogs, though, they're so excited to see Ezekiel as Nature's Grasp comes on through. A big Gnar ult hits too, but he's all alone. Thorn gonna pick him up. Everyone turned for Ezekiel, and then he's gonna turn and kill Fortune. He can take the 1v4. Frozen Turd gets a huge ultimate, but it's not going to really matter when the rest of your team is just dying around you, looking for YRW. Going to dash forward to hope if he can pick him up. He will get the shutdown, but they lose the jungler in the process. Now Malavek's forced to flash to get away from Frozen Turd. He does have a lot of AP damage. He is very scary, but I don't think scary enough to keep them off this dragon. So, third Chemdrake going the way of MVE. They're gonna stack 4 of them to try to get this soul, if they can get one more in 5 minutes time. But good fight from them, and a good turn onto Numi. It's really sad that his team really wasn't there for him.
Yeah, Numi goes in, finds a Gnar, and I think it was 3 members of MVE, but the rest of the team decides to go in on Ezekiel, who has the Sterix, has the Crescent Guard, which means the follow-up damage. Varus is so much of this team's DPS. If his piercing arrows are getting blocked by that Crescent Guard, he's doing nothing to the Xin Zhao, and because the team splits off, it opens the window for MVE to re-engage on the Varus. He's just caught out while his team is focusing a tank.
Fortune's trying to snipe it. He's not gonna get it, though, and Thorn comes around the backside. Fortune gets stunned up by the Solar Flare, bounced into the wall, and is just gone. Ezekiel goes unstoppable. 6 Dogs is getting really low, but I think he should be fine, because Malavex is gonna go and kill that Galio. He's gonna kill the Maokai for a double kill, and 2 members of MVE are all that stand to defend this base, but I don't know how well they're gonna do here. YRW, those dogs are going to prevent him from being able to throw anything out, and doesn't matter that the Baron minions are here. They're trying to throw everything they can to break it, but it's not going to be enough. The inhibitor turret will fall. The inhibitor will fall. The members of MVE are jockeying for position to go forward. I think they're going to try to end this here. Only 2 members. Lot going invulnerable here. Isn't going to get to the turret. Did flash away. Gets Zenith bladed on and gets stunned. Gets blasted back to the fountain with the Keeper's verdict. The turrets are going to fall. The Nexus is going to fall. And MVE gets the 2-1 victory over BRA.
It was a back and forth game, a very back and forth series, and yeah, Malevolent Requiem are the winners in the end after a nice comeback in game number 3. We felt like they had the better composition, but it didn't seem like it was working out for them until that play up on the top side around the Otacon. No, Otacon went over to BRA, didn't it? But yeah, it just one bad fight is all it takes for MVE to surge back in this game. They got the dragon and the Baron off of that fight that I'm talking about, and once they're able to just play grouped up, Poppy can win the game with one ability. If she just sits in the middle of a fight and pushes W, like Nefiri is mitigated, the Gnar is mitigated, Galio is mitigated. No one on the side of BRA can play the game when Poppy's sitting there, even if she was behind in the side lane. And so, yeah, it's and in this game we finally got to see someone other than the top laners carrying. You know, game one, we got to see the Yorick carry. Game 2 was a Renekton, but in my eyes, MVP of this game goes over to Ezekiel on the Xin Zhao, finding massive plays around an early dragon fight and just showing up from start to finish on this staple jungle pick. 9-1 and 8, massive performance out of the jungler for the side of MVE.
I was gonna say I thought the MVP was Numi for selling the cleaver. That was the big victory there for MVE. But in all honesty, good performance from both these teams. Saw a lot of solid play from both of them. They showed some very strong points and some weak points and things to work on, but they're new. It's just the first 2 weeks. There's plenty of time to fix these issues. And you know, we've seen that we saw some of the peak of their talent. We saw BRA with that master class across the map, take the dragon, delay Atacon. They have the potential of that macro. And for the side of MVE is also a lot of solid macro, some good micro as well. We also saw that with the side of BRA as well. Those bits and pieces are there. They just need to kind of make it more consistent, bring it all together, just kind of work on those things, work on their team coordination a little bit. And I think they could definitely both make a lot of noise in this league as the weeks go on. But yeah, that was a fantastic series. Is what we like to see. You know, going the distance, back and forth games. Without just love it. I just absolutely love it. And yeah, I have to give I don't know who I would say my MVP for this series is.
Whole series is kind of tough to say. I feel like across both teams, like every player was more or less pulling their weight in most of these games. You know, we got to see players fighting it out, taking engages. There was no one who was like a clear weakness. A lot of times it was me, you know, maybe due to draft, a player had a tough game, but overall it's hard for me to pick a singular MVP. I mean, as far as like the hype factor, I really liked what I was seeing out of Thorn in this series. You know, had a dominating, I had a couple really good games. I was liking the aggression of the Poppy in the melee versus ranged matchup, you know, trying to do anything you can to punish the enemy for overstepping when they are on one of those ranged champions. But is that the whole MVP? I don't know. I just thought it was fun. That's what I was hoping for going into game 3. And I do feel like we got some of that excitement.
Yeah, I think we did. And I can't wait to see when the next time we get to watch them is. We get to cast them and see how they've changed, how they developed. But that's going to do it from myself, at least in terms of anything to say. Do you have anything left that you want to say? Well, actually, no, we're going to jump over to the merch because FOFesports.com/Titan for all your Titan esport merch needs. I don't know if the fall and winter line have dropped yet. I would be keeping an eye out for them, though. I'm sure we'll be getting some new stuff coming in soon, getting ready for that cold winter. Though there are some good items already to buy. You know, get yourself those hoodies from last year. We still have a couple of those packable jackets. Get yourself some nice Titan merch.
Get yourself some merch, indeed. But yeah, I don't think I have anything more to say. I feel like, you know, we've said our piece about the series. This was an exciting one. These teams made that 38-minute match feel like one of those 50-minute bangers, but far less exhausting. Much happier with the pace of the game here, where they're scrapping it out, and it's, you know, it's fun to watch.
It is. It absolutely is. Well, that's all we've got from us today. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. We'll be back. Oh, the two of us will be back next week, but there's still more action to come from Titan. So keep an eye on the Twitch channel. We've got more games coming up in the next couple of days. But until next time, we'll see you.